Welcome, Underhive scumbags, to episode 19 of Chronicles from the Underhive, a Necromunda and Post Apocalyptic podcast. I'm Tom.
And I'm Tony.
And today it's just us, but you will hear Michael later. I know I said that last week, but this week he's definitely moved in, got a new job, kind of settled, won the pools, then got charged £1,800 electric bill, but well, from what I've just read, but now he will be recording, and it's good timing because we're talking about the Venators today, and we're talking about Kal Jerico and his model. So, him doing his book report on the Kal Jerico omnibus, it's good timing. It's like we did it deliberately, but we didn't. So just the boring stuff, well, the normal stuff. Come join us on the Facebook group, Chronicles from the Underhive. Necromunda Tom on Instagram. And as we've discussed a few times, we've got a Patreon account. We have 2 more patrons for this month, so I'll be thanking them at the end. And we've now got enough that breaks us clear through the amount that I pay to host a website, so that's perfect. So thank you, everybody, and any more will go towards more bits and pieces that we're going to use for the podcast. So thank you, everyone who does contribute. It is really good help, and it does show that we're not just doing it to me and Tony and Michael and Aaron sometimes. So cheers, everyone.
Thanks,
we
guys.
have the Redbubble, but I haven't bought anything on Redbubble for a while, so I don't expect you guys to, but it's always there if you want to. If you want a Chronicles t-shirt or a pillowcase, I'm guessing you could probably get a hanky. It's there if you want it, okay? So all of that stuff's out of the way. We'll start and we'll go into what we've been up to. Okay, guys, what we've been up to, it will be Tony to start, and it's because you've already heard my voice. So, Tony?
I have been playing Necromunda.
Hey.
I know. So yeah, the local campaign that I'm playing in has been sort of really kicking up a notch recently, and it's great. I'm not quite sure when I'll get my next game in, but I'm half looking forward to it because it's going to be fun. But man, my gang is in the most beaten up state it has been so far in this campaign. It's kind of funny. I haven't really got any major lasting injuries, but just for this next upcoming game, I've got 7 gangers in 7 people in recovery.
Was that all from the last game?
Yeah.
Wow.
The entire gang. Honestly, at the start of the last game, I had 1 gang over last gun that was in recovery and missing that game. So I think I turned up to that with about 14 fighters, something like that.
And then the last game got really bloody.
Yes, it was it was such a good game. I'll go into more detail when we get around to games played. But
cool.
Yeah, it was basically it was a really small, tooled up, really experienced gang versus my very large, not inexperienced, but just very base level gang skills, and it showed. I ended up winning the game, but it was very bloodied for me. I had to put up a lot of in for a penny, in for a pound sort of thing.
Yeah. How come his gang had got so experienced before the game with you?
This particular campaign is just it's the latest in a series of campaigns that have been run at this gaming club. Mm-hmm. So I've jumped in at the start of this campaign with a new starting gang.
Right.
But not every member of the campaign has done that. Some people were using existing gangs.
Right. So they'd backed up from previous campaign.
Yes. So they used the partial gang heritage system where you like, so you're not literally just taking your existing gang from a previous campaign, but you're taking like certain members, like they're available to you to rehire as part of your initial gang quota.
Does that mean you can just pick the best ones?
Yes, but obviously you're paying their credits cost, which is very high compared to starting values for most gangers.
But is there no penalty for it? Is there no like slight increase in cost, or because you could just be like, I want to pick that one because he's got a really good combination of this and that one because he's got, but I don't want that one, so I'll start with a new ganger with that one. Could you do that in theory?
In theory, yes. Like, it's up to your arbitrator and how they decide they want to rule it. As written in the Necromunda rules, I don't believe you're able to use the leader from your previous gang, because the idea is that one of the champions from that gang is splintered off and started their own gang.
I'm going to start my own gang with blackjack hookers.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So, typically you'd have like an ex-champion who is now like the pseudo leader.
Right.
But yeah, like realistically, yes, you've got very tooled up individuals, but you've got a lot less individuals because you still have to take your gang within the credit limit.
Yeah, so you start really low. Like really tooled, but really like low body count.
Yeah, like we started this campaign back in March, so we're a good couple of months in now, and his gang size I think is only 7 fighters.
Okay, and it didn't obviously start like that either.
No, presumably not. But they're all very tooled up, all very experienced, and it was really interesting because practically all of them were like toughness 4.
Nice.
Despite the fact that they're Eshers.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll go over the details of the game because it was a really, really good game, but we'll do that when it comes to games played.
Cool.
But other than that, I have just been working on getting painted the new additions to my gang as the campaign's been progressing. So, like, for that game, I'd just bought a grenade launcher for one of my gangers.
That's a Goliath weapon, leave it alone.
Hey, it's not a Goliath weapon when you load it up with, like, choke gas grenades and fear gas grenades.
Yeah, you've ruined it. You cheesed it up. You blocked it with Camembert.
I'm looking forward to a game where I actually get to fire fear gas across the board.
It's alright. I'm going to install everyone with respirators. Literally the whole army, even the Jews.
So I was getting that ganger painted up for that game because I didn't want to play with an unpainted model because the rest of the gang was painted.
Yeah, that would be a shame.
So it felt like it would have been a shame. So I thought, I'm going to make sure I get this one painted up. So it'd been a couple of months since I'd painted one of my Escher gangers, but I was really impressed by how quickly I got it done. And I don't skimp on the paint schemes for my Eschers. They're quite elaborate.
Yeah.
So I was quite pleased in the end. And I'm doing the exact same thing now with my next youth, because at the end of that game, my settlement territory let me recruit a free youth.
Nice.
So I've had this sort of like model on standby for if that happened, because it's literally just a juve with a stub gun.
Yeah. Well, what else are they going to have? Maybe a knife at best.
Yeah, but a fancy toxic knife.
Boo. Dirty scumbag.
So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Okay, cool. So for me, I've been painting up my Vansar to the point where they're ready for the contrast paints, but obviously due to the stock issues where I ordered them from, they still haven't received the right quota that they were supposed to get, so I haven't got any of my contrast paints yet. So I've painted everything I can, but now I'm just sitting there because I don't want to half start the Vansar and then find out that I've got to paint it a different way because I now got the contrast paints. and it's kind of the same way with the Hungry Troll Goliaths. I've painted one of them now. The one
he looks awesome.
The one that looks like the ammo jack, the one I've made into an ammo jack. But I don't want to start the other ones because I think that the contrast white paint, the apothecary one, I think would work really well with the white skin. So I don't want to because the way that I paint the skin takes a really long time, but if I can just use the contrast paint to get the very basic kind of grey into the areas done, it will save me so much time. So I don't want to start another until I get the paint. So what I've actually been doing is the bases for the Van Sar. So yesterday I sprayed them all black and dry brushed them. I've just put on the tapes of paint in the bum for when you're doing hazard stripes, but I've taped them all up and I've just painted them black. So once the paint's dried, I'm going to be peeling them off, and hopefully I've got some straight lines for the hazard stripes. And so the Van Sar will literally just be getting ready for the last couple of colours. But like I say, I don't want to start any until I get my contrast paints, so I'm just sitting around twiddling my thumbs really, unless I start on my 2 ambots.
They would be fun.
But
how are you planning to paint them up?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's what I'm thinking. It's about first trying to work out what allegiance they're going to have, whether they're going to be generic, so I can have them in every army, or
I think a good idea is to have at least one of them as like a universal one. So you don't even need to have it used across gangs. You can use it as a scenario piece as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking because I only really convert expensive big pieces when I've got 2 of them. So I think I've said to you before, I won't convert 1 Imperial Knight, but if I own 2 Imperial Knights, then I'm happy to cut one to pieces. And so now, now I've got 1 ambot, I've got 2 ambots in the box, so I can go nuts with one of them. But I was thinking of Van Sar because I want them to be my main gang now. But while I've got that giant spider creature that I'm also converting, that could awesome. I mean, potentially that could be the ambot for the Van Sar, because I can just use those rules. The 2 guns on the sides could be the melters.
Yeah, you probably could do that. I mean, like, I think what you've built there is a perfect tool for the beast in like a beast hunt scenario. Even if you're using your own Van Sar, you can be like, oh, it's it's developed its own intelligence, or whatever. We need to bring it back under control. But yeah, like that would be brilliant for that sort of stuff.
So I'm just thinking, because I've already got that big thing and I've already got the Arachnorig, that maybe the Van Sar probably are okay as well. So I might even, once the Sisters of Battle are finally out, and then I make the female Cawdor gang, maybe rusticking up, if that's even a word, one of the ambots to be Cawdor. Cover it in banners and candles.
I was going to say, one of those ambots covered in candles would look awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I'm probably going to go with, because, like I say, the Van Sar have already got plenty. So I think it's probably time for the Cawdor to have something.
You could do it carrying like a swinging censer off its like claw.
Or like, what's that thing? You know, the incense. I could get like one of the Skaven balls.
That's the sort of thing I mean. Yeah, like the incense bottles.
Yeah, and get that. I've got some chain. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's my thing sorted. So that's what I'll do. And we did the first hobby hangout. I know it's mainly me and you, but Kablams came on for a bit, and Justin was on there for a little while.
It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was good to just paint and not be sitting here by myself, which is always a good start. We got to talk quite a lot, so that was cool. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't Justin, it was Jason. I knew it was a J. It was Jason Turner. He jumped in for a little while from America, and that's kind of the issue sometimes with the hangout, is that it's time zones, but I'm hoping if I put them out far enough, then people can jiggle bits about, and if you can't make it one month, then I'll do it another month, so it's all good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. You know, it's nice to have a chance to sit and chat with some of the listeners.
Yeah, and I think, and it is just very much who's free on the day. And like I was listening to the Adeptus Terra podcast, and I know that sometimes they'll run their hobby hangouts, and there'll be just the one person who's hosting it, and maybe one other guy will turn up every so often. And they hosted one last weekend, and they had the full 10 that you could fit, and then every time one person went, another new one jumped in. So you just can't predict it, and I think that's what makes it interesting, is that I'll never know who's going to be joining me that day.
But you do know that you're going to enjoy it regardless.
Yeah, exactly, because I'm painting either way, so either I'm painting with somebody or I'm painting on my own, which I was doing anyway, so it's all good. Okay, so I think probably that's it for what we've been up to. Should we just go into confirm news now and just speak about it? I'm just thinking of what's come out recently. So we discussed the books obviously come out, because we're going to discuss some of it today. What else have I seen? I know obviously Kal Jericho's out now. I'm trying to think.
The Cawdor Executioner.
Yes.
He's also been.
Thank you. That's announced. What it was. That's really cool. I think I need to get one of them as well.
Well, I was wondering what they were going to do with that model when it came to like its rules and how it played, and basically it's like Kira the Huntress and what's his name, the Orlok biker boss with the dog. In that he's a house exclusive bounty hunter.
So he's someone you pay for, but only that gang.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's a bounty hunter basically, like he's a known persona person, but he's only hireable by an Orlok. No, an Orlok gang.
Oh, sorry.
A Cawdor gang.
Cool. That makes sense. I think he is very Puritan, nice so he wouldn't be. Yeah, it is really cool. It's really,
it's
really
got so much potential for a lot of people to make a lot of fun things with.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can somehow make it into a female one to match the theme of my... Oh, no, sorry, I've got the Hungry Troll model that I'm going to make my Executioner anyway. The one with the leaping chainsword cross.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that one.
I've changed it a little bit, because it was... Because where it did have a huge chaos symbol across it before, so when I blanked over the chaos symbol... because it's not a particularly Cawdor friendly weapon, I then green stuffed over it, but then it made the chainsword very flat. So now I just remembered recently that I have brass that I was used to use, you know, that Forge World brass stuff. It's got loads of Grey Knight images, Inquisitor and Grey Knight images etched into brass. So what I've done so I've just taken one of them and stuck it down, and I'm also probably going to try and either green stuff a couple of purity seals, or I've seen people use like a zinc or some sort of very thin sheet of metal that you can then manipulate to make it into so it looks like folding paper, like it's rippling in the wind, and that might give it a bit more strength.
Well, does your favourite green stuff world not do a mould for purity seals?
It wouldn't surprise me if they did, to be fair.
Might be worth having a look.
Yeah, I think, but it's just about trying to get it into the shapes, either that or like people were doing with maybe even just glued paper will bend into the shape that you want it to, but I'm not 100%. It'll just need me playing around with it a bit, I think. But I think we're at the waffly segment, so it's my time to stop. So after this, we're going to go into our first showcase, which is the Venators today. So we'll go into the background, how it's played, how we might think it's been played, and what we would probably do if we were going to build it. Oh, and we've got a gang list for the first time in a long while, so stay tuned. Okay, guys, it's the showcase today. Well, the first one for Venators. So I'll I'll read the lore out. It's just a small bit. A group of talented murderers can make a healthy living collecting bounties of criminals, killers, and deviants. The motley band of hired guns who go after these bounties are commonly known as Venators, a temporary coalition of bounty hunters out for blood and coin. With the promise of shared rewards and extra firepower, Venators form into gangs and pursue merchant guilds' patronage and the stability that comes from regular contracts. I did all right. I don't think I screwed any of that up. Okay, so a couple of basic rules that we'll go into first. So you can have house origins on all of your squad. So you can have a house origin on the leader, which will, but it can't. If they don't have the house origin, they can't claim the territory boon. So if you've tooled it up as an Orlock, you won't get the boons for being an Orlock. Hives, you can hire hive scum and bounty hunters, but you can't hire normal bounty hunters. You can hire Fancy Dan character bounty hunters, but not bounty hunters, because they don't like spreading the money out even thinner. So you've got the hired scum and you've got, say, Grendelson, but you haven't got just the normal bounty hunters. You can...
They're all in your gang, aren't they?
Yeah, technically, yeah. It just means that if you want to beef up your squad a little more for one game, it's going to have to just be characters and scum. The house legacies are 30 credits a model, and it means that you can buy the equipment from their gang's weapon table and the discount of the cost. Also, the legacy allows champs and leaders to buy status items and pets, but they can only hire brutes, like the specific brutes, so not gang specific. You can't be a Vanso and get the Arachnorig, but you can get like the Ogre, the Ogrin sort of. What is it? The Servitor and stuff like that. The generic ones.
The H grade Servitor Ogrin.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
and the Ambot.
Yeah, the Ambot, the one the two I've got to build that we've just discussed. So that's essentially it for them. The gangs themselves, when you're hiring, they already tell you what rarity level you can buy of guns and weapons from because you essentially get them from the trading post, because they haven't got their own trading table. So you just equip them from the trading post essentially for the cost that anyone else would buy those weapons for. And
which is really interesting, because that does give you a lot of options out the gate.
Oh yeah,
like loads more options at the start compared to most gangs. You don't have the discounted rate on certain items that some gangs have, unless you go in for a legacy on that particular fighter. You know, I still had a lot of fun trying to come up with what my gang list was going to be, and I think more so than most gang lists, the Venators one really benefits from having a bit of forward planning. You know, like deciding what you're going to go for, how you're going to equip out as your gang grows, even what kind of champions and legacies you want to buy later on.
Yeah, definitely. So can you...
Little thing...
Can you buy the legacy at any point, or do they have to start with the legacy?
I believe you have to start with a legacy. I think you can only buy it when you recruit the fighter, which is one of the things that makes them a bit more of an investment gang. Like, I was very tempted to buy a house Orlok legacy for my leader, but do nothing with it initially. It was just so that at a later date, if I wanted, I could buy him a Cyber Mastiff as a pet, because he can't get that unless he's got the house legacy.
Yeah, and it kind of... So it's kind of like, do you just buy the legacies just in case you need it for the future? Because once you've done it, you've done it.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that really until just now, so it's... I have to have a bit more of a think when...
I do think the Venators are ones which they are so customizable, but at the same time, that means that whatever list you're coming up with does really have to bear in mind what you're going to be playing the gang in. Like, what the nature of your campaign is going to be, whether or not you expect to get reinforcements at a certain point, or, you know, if you're going to be playing in bad zones all the time, or if you're going to be playing in Zone Mortalis or Sector Mechanicum. Like, there's so much you can do that you have to sort of plan ahead with them a bit more than most gangs.
Yeah, and it's odd because you automatically think, because you can get pretty much anything from the start, that it makes
that means you want everything.
Yeah, but it also makes you feel like it's going to be easy because you can pick whatever you want. So you can pick whatever you think's the best weapon for close combat or whatever, because they're all available. But at the same time, because you can have everything, you've got a lot more choice, which makes it even harder to know what 100% you want.
Yeah, I had to dial back on one of my champions because I thought, this will be really cool. I want to get them out with this. And I was like, that should be a nice sort of selection things to start with. And I was like, oh, that champion's like 215 credits.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
But the champion costs more than the leader. I was like, I'm going to have to take some of the gear off that champion and buy that at a later date. Like, you know, as you progress through a campaign.
Yeah.
Like, almost create a starting loadout for a fighter and then an ideal loadout for a fighter, and then sort of like work your way up to it.
I think there's been a few lists that I've had in the past where a champion's just had a expensive weapon, which has just made them automatically more than the champion. I know a lot of Cawdor models, a lot of people who use Cawdor end up in that situation where they're not a great fan of the Cawdor leader because of his stats, so they end up just using him as a overseer slingshot sort of thing.
As a leader.
Yeah, but not as anyone who will go in and really do much. At best, they'll have a basic weapon and a basic like hand-to-hand weapon, and just kind of hope for the best that they don't get engaged, really.
Yeah.
But talking about the Venators, the skills are quite cool as well. So you can tailor the skills.
These are also very different.
Yeah, so you basically pick 4 of the possible skill trees, 2 primary and 2 secondary, and that's essentially it. I mean, it's ideal for me because where some of my gang, like we'll see in my list, some of the gang is shooting and some of the gang is close combat, it means I can just do shooting and say ferocity, for example, as my 2 primaries, and it means that I'm likely to be able to pick the skills that I want for both sets of teams. And it just gives you that little bit more flexibility again.
I thought it was a really nice sort of touch to the Venators, because I thought I'm kind of planning a lot based around what these skill choices are, and obviously if I'm anyone else and I pick different skill sets, that Venator gang is going to be completely different to my Venator gang. Like, I know there's as I discovered in the game I played earlier this month, there can be a lot of variation even in house. Like my Escher gang was completely different to the Escher gang I played against, but still has very core fundamentals that are the same. Whereas I can imagine two very distinctly different Venator gangs not even feeling like they're even close to being like each other.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I've got my old pit slave gang, which I can very easily make now using the Venator rules, with, like, this weapon can be this and this weapon can be that, and it will be very different to the gang that I've made for this, for this podcast now, which is my Dog the Bounty Hunter list. And it's still the same gang. Technically, it's still the same roster and rules, but they will be incredibly different in how they play, which is pretty cool. But it also means that where we would normally discuss the game style, the difficulty is that the game style will be whatever you choose it to be, because it can be potentially anything. I could say, right, my Venator gang will be an incredibly tooled up shooting gang, and will have the savant skills and the shooting skills as a primary, and someone else will be like, well, I've got a pit slave gang who've got brawn and ferocity as their two skill trees, and those two gangs will play incredibly differently. So it's pretty difficult to say what sort of game style you can have, because you can potentially have any game style you want.
Well, I think the fundamental sort of difference is that the Venators can be very good at combat and can be very good at shooting, but they're never going to quite be as good at shooting as the really shooty gangs, and as good at combat as the really combat-y gangs. But the point is, they can be very good at both. So I think if you were looking to just play a very savant, ballistic, skilled shooting gang, you're probably going to play Vansar. Like, I don't think you'd really be playing Venators if you didn't want to have a little bit of a mix.
Yeah, I guess so. I just think, but also...
But I know what you mean, yeah.
But then, at the same time, there might be, in the Vansar list, something that you're not a fan of, like in regards to, like, say you wanted a Vansar style list, but there's certain weapons that you couldn't get off the bat that you could if you ran the Venator list, because yes, you get cheaper plasma weapons and las guns for the Vansar, but it's not that you want. You fancy a rocket launcher to start with.
Or auto guns, I guess. Like, if you wanted auto gun weaponry.
Yeah, because you might be like, well, okay, because you might have some Infinity models that you fancied using, and they're futuristic, and you think, yeah, they're going to look like cool bounty hunters, but they've got more like a machine gun looking setup. So you still want them to shoot, because they're not all tooled up with close combat weapons, but at the same time, you definitely want them to be shooting and that sort of thing. And also, I suppose we'll go into it, but the fact you can customize what characteristics they have is insane as well.
Yes.
I know you could obviously do that in the last one, but just like the ability to say, well, obviously the one that I've got that's got the shooting weapon, I'm going to give him the highest ballistic skill. I know it will obviously mean that he has the worst weapon skill or the worst toughness, but that's fine, because you're giving it to the guy with the long lass or whatever.
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of having all these different approaches to gang building. Like, I know for starters that I personally wouldn't build with every individual specialised in one role so closely. I'd prefer to sort of have all the fighters semi-capable of doing a bit of everything, and then being a little bit better at one particular aspect. Maybe because of some war gear or a single skill up,
Yeah, I've essentially done the same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Whereas, yeah, sure, your BS 2+ guy is gonna inevitably be really damn good at shooting, but he's still always gonna be weapon skill 5+. That's probably never gonna change. So he's never really gonna be good in a fight if he needs to be.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go with a BS 3+ guy, who's also weapon skill like 3+ or 4+ or whatever, then at least he's semi-competent in combat as well and can get stuck in with a knife or whatever when he needs to.
No, I'm all one or the other. I'm like, you're Mr. Shooty, you're Mr. Stabby, and that's how it stays, because that's all my brain can take. If I know Mr. Shooty has gone into combat, then I know I'm in trouble. And if Mr. Stabby is in a firefight, then I know I'm in trouble.
See, whereas my trick is I like to make my guy look like Mr. Shooty, so then my opponent doesn't fear him when it comes to combat. But then actually, it turns out he's also surprisingly Mr. Stabby. Like, he's probably better at shooting you, but he's also no slouch of a knife, and you now underestimated him.
But I think yours is like, oh, he's over there. Oh no, now he's over here. With your ashes, it's just like, it doesn't really matter because he's over in that corner, and then he's jumped off a crane, and then like leapt a ledge, and then he's in your face. And you're like, oh damn it!
Not gonna lie, the two stats that I just can never bring myself to have as being bad versions of those stats, it tends to be movement and initiative. I need to be at least average to good at those things.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to fall off a ledge. And I want to be able to jump off a ledge if I choose to.
None of this movement 3, initiative 5+. I'm like, what's even the point? Am I ever going anywhere? No.
It's the way. Just be Van Sar and just have lots of grav shoots or drop rigs and stuff. It'll be fine.
Should we move on to the actual lists then?
Yeah.
And decide. Do you want to start?
No, I think you should start this time. I'm bored of hearing my own voice.
Fair enough.
Yay.
Yeah. So then, my Venator gang. A little bit of an overview. I have 8 fighters in total. Which is 1 leader, 2 champions, and 4 like gangers or hunters, as they're called. And my skill choices. My 2 primary skills are Ferocity and Savant.
Cool.
Which I actually think is pretty much the epitome of bounty hunters, really. They're both quite, I guess, charismatic and knowledgeable, whilst having quite a aggressive personality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like they're going to twitch and hit you if you say something out of turn.
And then the secondaries I went with were combat and I think shooting. I can't actually remember. Give me 1 second and I will check. I cannot remember because pretty much, obviously, when you create the gang, the key thing is the primary skills. Yeah,
that's the thing I've pretty much done.
Yeah. So my primaries were Ferocity and Savant, and my secondaries were Combat and Cunning.
Cunning, okay.
Yeah, because I think later on in the campaign, once you've got some skill ups and stuff, you could do some really interesting stuff with some cunning skills. But primarily, I want the gang to be making use of a lot of the Savant skills initially, and sort of using the Ferocity skills to really bring home the combat advantage.
Okay.
So, my actual gangers even. So I went with a leader who, although he doesn't technically have it, I imagine him having like an Orlok legacy, really. Sort of your pretty baseline skilled human, as it were. Yeah. So there's a couple of like every option we're going to talk about has 4 potential profile options.
I'm sure it used to only have 3 in the old one, but yeah, it has 4 now.
Well, I think something they mentioned on one of the Twitch streams was that the movement 3 stat is in no way at all meant to be representative of squats.
Oh, good, because I've definitely not given it to my squat bounty hunter in my list, which I definitely didn't do, which I did do, obviously.
So, yeah, I think that's the one that snuck its way in as like the extra stat line. So anyway, yeah, so my hunt leader, he's taken the, like I say, the sort of all-rounder stat line. So he's movement 5, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, 2 wounds, and initiative 3+, with 2 attacks. And I've armed him with a bolt gun, a chainsword, and a las pistol.
That's not bad.
And then he wears mesh armor and he has iron will, because any gang I think that has more skilled and expensive members than it does lots of members just needs iron will.
That's really, the one that reduces the chance of bottling.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like the +1 to like your bottle rolls or whatever it is, so it's less likely that you bottle.
Oh, fair enough.
So while and I feel like he's the epitome of a leader very much, because that's what he's going to be. You know, he's the head of these bounty hunters. He's in charge. He knows what's going on. He's got experience and he's got a nice bit of gear, but he's also can handle himself at range and combat.
Cool.
And like my plan with him is that he'd be buying himself some hotshot lasgun packs for his las pistol. So, you know, he's got his bolt gun, which is his primary way of doing damage, and, you know, ballistic skill 3+ with a bolt gun is nothing to be sad about. Like, it's pretty damn good. You know, any strength 4, damage 2, rapid fire, accuracy bonus at 12 inch, so he's going to be hitting on 2s at 12 inches away.
I mean, if you can get ammo jacks and everything, can't you? You can still get your hangers on.
Yeah, you can still buy your hangers on like normal, so you can have an ammo jack hanging out. But one of my champions actually has the munitioner skill already.
Right.
So yeah, so that champion, he's an interesting one, but I was actually kind of pleased with him because, so my leader, the idea was he's meant to be like an Orlok gang boss who's probably had like, you know, a falling out with the house. And he's still very much used to being a leader, and that's what he is, that's what he does. You know, he's formed his own little gang around him. Whereas this champion, I imagine him as a Goliath who's got kicked out of the house.
Right. What, for being too violent?
No, almost the opposite. For being, I guess, too level-headed.
Okay.
So I imagine him pretty much as kind of like a bouncer or like my leader's personal enforcer.
Got ya.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's more the muscle, but he doesn't just look like the muscle, even though he mostly is. He looks like he knows what's going on a bit. So he's got the, I guess what you would call atypical like Goliath or large human stat line. So he's movement 4. Weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 5+, strength and toughness 4, 2 wounds, initiative 5+, 2 attacks. And then he's like, you know, got really good cool, like 5+ and so on. And he's got some mesh armor, and he has the munitioner skill. So he's the one that allows you to, is it reroll failed ammo checks?
Yeah.
For everyone nearby. But then the weapons I've got him armed with, he's armed with a servo claw.
Nice.
Which, for starters, I could have imagined converting that up like an actual Goliath with like a servo claw.
That would be sweet. Would you use an Orc Knob kit?
Probably something like that. So he's no slouch in combat because he strikes at strength 6,
nice.
Damage 2.
Because that doubles
so when
out.
he hits you hard.
Yeah, and it doubles out toughness 3, doesn't it?
Toughness 3. Yeah.
All doubles out in within you means you roll 2 up.
But then here comes the very trademark Tony element of him. So this is a BS5 weapon skill 3+ guy, and I have of course armed him with a lasgun.
Nice. I wonder he was kicked out the Goliath.
Well, he's got a lasgun with a hot shot lasgun pack.
Okay.
So that means that he's got a strength 4, AP -1 lasgun. So that's no slouch at range either. Hit someone with strength 4 -1. Even a Van Saar's not going to be happy about that. Wounded him on freeze and they'd have a 5-up save. But the thing is, being a lasgun, it's got a short range of 18 inches. So a lot of the time he's going to be getting +1 to hit, which basically makes him ballistic skill 4+, which then he's in the territory of, sort of like average gangers and stuff. And my real intention here is that his first level up would be a +1 ballistic skill.
Right.
So then you're looking at basically a ballistic skill 4+ Goliath. So if he's then dropping these, strength 4 AP1 lasgun shots on you at 18 inches, hitting on freeze once he's got his level up, that's not bad at all.
Right.
And yet he's still going to be, marching towards you, aiming to punch you with his strength 6 servo claw as well. So
a little bit of both.
Again, like I said before, a little bit of both. He's got good ranged and good combat, and all it's going to take is, maybe a game or two to get enough XP to get that first +1 ballistic skill increase, and then you can really invest in this guy, and I think he'll be great.
Cool.
Then my second champion is the only guy who I actually bought a House Legacy for, and I bought him a House Cawdor Legacy because I just could not resist the urge to build basically like a rat catcher kind of like bounty hunter. So he's actually got what is the squat profile, as it were.
Right.
So he's movement 3, weapon skill and ballistic skill 4+, strength 3 but toughness 4, 2 wounds. But the key thing about his profile is he's he's intelligence 5+, so he's got really, really good intelligence. And that's because I'm planning to buy him some bomb rats from the Cawdor house list. And commanding bomb rats to do what you want them to do is based off intelligence.
Okay.
So actually having a really intelligent rat trainer is going to be really good. So he wears mesh armor, and the weapons I've started him with is just a auto gun polearm, because I think they're great, and since he's going to be House Cawdor anyway, I can buy one.
Yeah.
So versatile weapon that brings him up to strength 4 when he's hitting things with his 2 attacks, and on top of that he gets an auto gun. And I have started him with frag grenades because I had the sort of like credit spare at the end of the gang creation. I could actually start him with his frag grenades, which he would eventually be strapping to his bomb rats once he buys some.
Cool.
And then the skill I actually went with for him was Medicare.
Okay.
So I've actually got quite a little supportive set of skills because between my leader and champions I've got Iron Will, Munitioner and Medicare to start with.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be, re-rolling ammo checks. I'm going to be getting bonuses to injury rolls to sort of recover. And we're going to stay in the fight along with Iron Will. So I actually see them working as a really nice cohesive team.
Yeah.
So those are like the 3 feature members of the gang. But then I do also have effectively a pseudo champion who isn't a champion. Like it's a hunter or a ganger, but he's kitted out and will behave in such a way that he's basically like a combat champion. And as he advances, I'm hoping he'll get some somewhat relevant skill ups. But imagine the Executioner from Cawdor. If you lose all the Cawdor trimmings, basically imagine him as like a workers' union guy, and instead of having the massive 2-headed axe, he's just instead got a massive 2-handed hammer.
Nice.
So he's kind of like...
Is he shouting strike as he hits people?
Sort of, yeah. Like imagine someone who basically lives the life of a Goliath, but isn't actually a Goliath.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Just going strike. He booms people.
So he's just a fighter, but he's got the stat line for Hunter number 3. So he's movement 4, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 4+, strength 3, and toughness 4. Even though he's a ganger. 1 wound, initiative 5+1 attack. Sure. He wears mesh armor. Has no skills, obviously, but all he's equipped with is a stub gun and a 2-handed hammer.
Nice.
So, when he gets into combat, sure, he's hitting at -1, so be hitting on 4s, but he's going to be striking you at strength 4 with knockback, and assuming the knockback doesn't hit you into a wall or a fighter or something, it's just flat damage free. I absolutely love 2-handed hammers.
Yeah.
Like, I love that idea of he's just an intimidating ganger. Like, because if he pins you against a wall and he strikes you, he's got a straight damage 4 attack. And this isn't even a champion or a leader, it's just a ganger with a big hammer.
And it's just that potential, isn't it?
Yeah. And I love the idea that he's the one who's probably going in there to deal with the troublesome bounty target. He's just like, they're resisting, they're not coming peacefully. Right, bring the massive hammer.
Yeah.
Let's just knock them out cold with this. Tunk.
Strike.
So like those are the, almost let's say, like 4 feature members of the gang, and then I have like some fillers who do good roles, but that's what they are. They just fill nice, responsible roles. So I've got 2.
Last gun.
Basically, I've got auto guns.
Ah, okay.
They were actually originally going to be reclaimed auto guns because you can buy them from the trading post and they're cheaper, but I had like 10 points spare or credit spare at the end, so I just gave them regular auto guns instead.
Oh.
But basically, my remaining 4 gang members, they all use the Hunter 1 profile, which is pretty much average Joe human.
Cool.
So they're all movement 5, weapon skill and ballistic skill 4+, strength and toughness 3, and initiative 4+.
Cool.
Then they all wear just flak armor because they don't need expensive mesh armor. They'll do fine with flak. And 2 of them have auto guns, and 2 of them have shotguns.
Okay.
With scatter and solid rounds. So basically, that's like those 4. They're the chaff, as it were. I mean, they're not bad chaff because if auto guns are rapid fire weapons and shotguns are still shotguns. But it's interesting that the gang doesn't really have a lot of chaff unless you go with literally just like fighters with stub guns. You don't have juves, so you're kind of forced to have everyone be a little bit good.
Yeah.
Like you can't just have a useless person whose job it is to open doors and get shot first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
hope they make it through, but that's it.
Yeah, like even my Esches with las guns, like their main job is to pin opponents so the other gangers can do things with the fancy weapons. But when I've only got 8 fighters and 4 of them are effective with the chaff people, I need my chaff to be capable of getting a hot roll and doing some damage.
Yeah.
So auto guns and shotguns it is.
Yeah.
And when they're supported by Munitia and Medicare skills as well, I think they'll be quite capable.
Yeah.
And having a pretty open modelling opportunity with those 4 as well will be really nice because you just need a person with a gun and a person with a shotgun, so they could look like anything. I actually think they'll be some of the most free-form modelling opportunities.
Because they could just be potentially anyone, can't they?
Yeah, whereas my leader has to visibly have a chainsword, a bolt gun, a las pistol. Like there's the sort of
and he has
war
to
gear
look warlocky
limitations
as well, especially if you're going to house Tribune, whatever it's called.
Yeah, whereas just the 4 hunters who are just bounty hunters, they could be anything. I saw there was one of the guys who was on the While I'm Alive the other month had a Venator gang on, and one of his guys was a Skaven model.
Okay. Well,
So it was like,
I'm tempted to use that as my dome runner.
Yeah.
Either that or a squat. I mean, not a squat, a halfling.
Oh, I use like one of the Blood Bowl ones.
That's
almost.
it. I've been
Like
trying to look online to see if I can just buy one on its own, but I can't find one currently.
Yeah, that'd look cool. But yeah, that's my gang.
Sweet.
I think I'd really look forward to seeing Mr. Servo Claw, Hotshot Lasgun Goliath guy, like wrecking people up. Seeing Mr. Ratcatcher just unleashing bomb rats everywhere with accuracy. And, the boss man himself with his hammer strike.
Sweet. Yeah, it'd be good to see him thump something. As long as it's not me.
I'd be very tempted to name him Scab, just for the irony.
Wicked. I'll go through mine then.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. Was there anything else?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay,
No, that was it. I had a really fun time putting this gang together, and I think, like I say, one of the things that's worth bearing in mind is just there's a lot of planning of where you want to take each fighter, like as your campaign goes on. I think having the variable profiles means that actually adjusting those with advancements is a lot more influential than it is in most gangs. And most gangs, it's kind of like, oh, cool, I've got this profile, and if I get some bonuses, that's exactly what they are, they're bonuses. This feels a bit more like, I like this profile initially. It'd be nice if this one stat, though, was just one better.
Yeah.
And if you consider that, you're like, right, well, my first advancement, I'm going to be aiming for improving that stat.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, my Goliath guy looks weird when I bothered to give him a hotshot lasgun and he's BS 5+. But when you view it through the lens of, well, as soon as possible, he's going to be BS 4+, then actually he's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to hope you do well. Okay, so I'll go through mine. So mine is the same list as I had for like my Dog the Bounty Hunter list. So I want to say rest in peace, Beth, because I know that she's passed away. So I've got her little model anyway. So I'll start with Dog. So I've given him Hunt Leader 3, which is like the weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 5, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 2. So like a brawler. So granted, it will make the melter gun less effective, but essentially I've gone for it. I've gone for a more of a aesthetic sort of. I gave the models the weapons that I gave them because I just liked how it looked, not really put much thought into how helpful it actually is. So I've given.
I do think that's one of the strengths of the Venator list, though. You can do that.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, I could Venator like I say, my pit fighters. I could also Venator the guys that I've made that are basically the enforcers models from when the enforcers existed in the past. So if worst case scenario, I can use the bounty hunter list again and just make a squad. But for this one I got the Dog because I've already got the models. So he has an auto pistol and melter gun, and he's got a servo claw as well. The skills that I went for, a bit like yours, but mixed up a bit more different. It's got brawn and shooting as their skills, so I thought they'd be rough and ready, but I also want them to be able to John Woo, sort of fire 2 pistols whilst diving through the air. Sort of
I
style.
was so tempted to try and like force a 2 pistol wielding guy into my build, but that was pretty much my third choice over Shooty Goliath and Ratman Dwarf. You know, so I think if I were to add a third champion to mine, like later on in the campaign, I think I'd be going for a dual wielding pistol guy.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my next one as well. But also one of my guys is a very much a shootier sort of guy, so I just thought I'll give them something that could potentially make them good in combat, but also one that can make them good in shooting. So that's Dog essentially. Then it's Beth. Sadly, so it's a combi weapon I've got for her. So I've given her a combi bolt gun flamer, and I've given her a shock stave
Is that the one that's versatile?
Yes. No,
Yeah.
hang on. Yes, I believe so. But my thing is cut off. There we go. I've turned it sideways now. I can see it properly. Yes, it's versatile and it's got shock as well. I do actually like the shock stave a lot. I think it's one of the more underrated Van Saar close combat weapons.
I agree. I actually think kitting out a champion or a leader with a shock stave and the hyperstar shield can actually be pretty nifty. If you can invest a +1 weapon skill, they're not bad.
I've given her obviously the squat stat line, so movement 4, ballistic skill 4 plus weapon skill 4. But she's my squat model, toughness 4, 2 wounds. So she's one of my champions. Then my other champion is Leland. I've just realised why that model's so expensive. For some reason, he's also got a flamer. He's not supposed to have a flamer. I wondered why he was so expensive. Anyway, so I might actually be able to afford a ganger with dual wielding pistols. So he's just got a las pistol and a long las, and he's got the Hunt Champion 4 one. So that's the weapon skill 5, but ballistic skill 2 up. So he's going to be my shooting one. He's kind of based on a Van Saar, so I might give him a Van Saar legacy. So because he's, I've used the assassins. I've used one of the assassins. I converted that, so he's kind of got a body armor, like the skin type body armor. So I thought it might be a way of giving him that. So he's got like the body glove, but I haven't actually done that as part of the thing. But I probably could afford it now if I took the flamer away. I honestly don't know how I've clicked the flamer on them. Then
accidental player. He clearly deserves a corridor house legacy.
Yeah, especially as I'm sticking him.
Needs.
Yeah, because I'm sticking him right at the back with a long lads. What I definitely need is a flamer. So that will go out of the list again. Then I've got Lisa. She's one of my based on a Venator model, and so I've given her a shotgun. These are where it hits the gangers. So she's got the Hunter 1 template, which is the fastest. So I've given her probably the most likely to be an Escher profile. So it's got the best initiative and the best movement out of all of the different options. And it's strange because when you're looking at them, that's the most likely Escher, but it's also not. It's just that little bit less than them, if that makes any sense. Because it's more balanced, so it's not so swung in one way or the other. But it's fine.
Like there's no option for like initiative 2+ Venator anywhere, but being 3+ and movement 5 is pretty close to being an Escher.
Yeah, and that's essentially what I've given her. And Dwayne Lee, okay. For some reason, I think the reason I did it was Dwayne Lee was another ganger who's a specialist, but for some reason the tools wouldn't allow me to give him a flamer. It might be because of the rarity level. I forgot to check as to whether the rarity level. I
think that is what it is.
What I might even do is swap the Leland champion, who has just the long las and the and a las pistol, because their rarity isn't as high. Make him a ganger, and then make Dwayne Lee, who carries the flamer, then become the champion, which then gives him the rarity to be able to use the flamer, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does, because I noticed the same thing when I was building a gang. Obviously, most gangs, when you create them, you can have a ganger that has a specialist weapon. So like Escher gang, you can give one ganger like 130 credit chem thrower if you want. The Venators, you can't actually do that. All their like baseline fighters are restricted to a rarity value of 8 from the trading post, which means that you don't have that one extra member that can take the extra fancy weapon.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, your leader and your champions can get really fancy gear to begin with, but they're the only ones that get the fancy gear.
So then the other bounty hunters end up being just very generic, like basically like gangers essentially.
Yeah, they can have a lot of fancy gear, of like a lot of average gear. So they could have, an auto gun and grenades and armor and bio boosters and sight. Because the other thing is you can buy even things like weapon sights and stuff technically with Venator straight away because they have access to the trading post.
Because I was tempted to do that with the long lass and just make him someone who could shoot and hit on twos even if he wasn't even looking the right direction. So he'd just be like firing behind his back using a mirror and he'd still hit the person.
Somehow you'd still miss.
I'm not going to roll Michael's, which is essentially rolling a 1. Sorry, Michael.
And then re-rolling it to a 1.
Yeah. He'd probably roll a 2, have a BS of 3 plus re-roll it and then get a 1.
And then miss and hit his own.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. But then saying that, I hit my thingy with a crack grenade, didn't I? My Zerka.
Yeah, you did.
Stupid game.
It was a brilliant game. We need to play again sometime.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. I think we can try and organise another trip to Warhammer World. Would be cool. But that's essentially my gang. It's just for models. Oh, sorry, 5 models.
Only 5 gangers. Well, fighters.
Well, I think it's because the melter gun makes it really expensive. I might just swap that. I could swap it for a bolt gun. The bolt gun's still really cool, but I just wanted to give someone a melter gun because I don't think I'm ever going to really do it in a gang, and I just want the ability to go, I've hit you. I will always kill you on a 2 if you're in half range. Just that fear of just instantly just taking someone off, even if it's an ambot or a door or whatever. It's just like, okay, there's a door in my way. Well, now there's not a door in my way unless I roll a 1 and somehow miss the door. But
why not compromise? Why not take a combi melter?
Doesn't that make it more expensive?
I honestly don't know offhand. But it means you get both.
Yeah, very true. I've already got a combi flamer on Beth, so nothing but the best for my gang. But in theory, there were only really 5 main characters in the whole Dog the Bounty Hunter. So, like I say, it was just so I could theme it. It wasn't particularly because I really want to run this gang and win. It's so that every so often I could play a random game where I
have some fun with them.
Yeah, just go, all right, Dog's here now, and he's going to be he's coming for your leader.
I just wanted opportunities to create really unique fighters. I'd say like that Goliath with a hotshot lasgun, a squat that trains rats.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The union leader with a hammer.
Yeah, strike, push.
Yeah, I just think they're hilarious. I don't think they'd be bad in games either, but I just think they'd have so much character to them.
Yeah,
I think they'd be brilliant.
100%. I think that's it for the Venators. If any of you guys have found anything cool, either you've got an idea for a gang, or you found something that we've not discussed that you think's really cool about the Venators, please post it up. Please post pictures of your gangs up. I know these ones lead to more variety, so it would be really cool to see what other options people have done and what their imaginations have allowed them to do. So just whack them up. It'll be great.
I'd love to see the loadouts that other people make off the bat for their gangers.
Yeah, I mean, it'd definitely be really cool. Okay, that's it really. We'll go into the showcase in a minute for Kal Jericho and Scabs, and then we will have Michael's segment about the omnibus. So it all seems to flow exactly how we wanted it, even though Michael's thing was an accident that it wasn't last month. But hey, what do you know? Things happen. But okay, we'll have a break and we'll go into the showcase. Okay, guys, we're back. It's the lore for Kal Jericho and Scabs now. We're going to have the lore being read out. I'm hoping it's Michael, but it could be any of us. So let's have a listen now and see who's doing it. If style were a man, then it would undoubtedly be a Kal Jericho. With easy good looks and even easier charm, Kal has a reputation for being as fast with his mouth as he is with his guns, the former getting him into trouble as often as the latter gets him out. The legend in his own lifetime, the self-proclaimed savviest bounty hunter in the Underhive, has claimed more bounties and made more enemies than almost any other hired gun in Hive Primus. Kal might attribute his success to being possessed of peerless skill and survivor's instinct for trouble, though ask his adversaries and they'll tell you that Kal leads a charmed life. Somehow, since making his way into the Underhive, Kal has gotten out of more scrapes than Lord Helmwar has wigs, each more impressive than the last, a bit like Lord Helmwar's wigs. Sorry about that pronunciation. No one knows for sure where Kal Jericho comes from, or why someone of obvious good breeding, education and upstanding personal hygiene decided to make such a rotting underbelly of Hive Primus as his home. But there is no shortage of tales about him. Common wisdom is that Kal Jericho is an exiled noble or off-world adventurer fleeing from some dark past. Some claim that his planetary lord in exile come from Necromunda to hide from his crimes. Others say he was once a great hero of the Imperium, betrayed and exiled from command. Then there are those who posit that Kal is an illegitimate son of Lord Helmwar and the last true-born successor to the Helmwar line. Of course, he could just easily be another Hive scum with an exceptional talent for lying. Okay, thank you. I won't say thank you to who it is because I don't know who said it because it's going to be recorded separately.
Surprise, it was Tom all
Yeah, it might be me. So the stats. So Kal Jericho is 340 credits, a big whopping amount. He's movement 5, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 2+, toughness, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 3, initiative 2 up, and attacks 3. He comes with 2 master-crafted hotshot las pistols. They are long range 12 inches, short range 8. +1 to hit and short range, strength 4, AP -2, damage 1. He's also got a dueling saber, which is strength as user, AP -2 and damage 1. I'll go into the skills. So he's got Charmed Life, so it's a 3-up save that can't be modified by armor piercing. He can also dodge blasts on a 1 to 3 on a d6. He's also got the skill that if he's part of your group, you can hire Scabs for 100 credits rather than 200 credits, because Scabs can be hired independently of Kal Jericho. And he's also got Counterattack, Gunfighter, Inspirational, Spring Up and Step Aside. So he is loaded on the skills. What do you think about
just a bit.
Yeah. What do you think about it?
So the funny thing is that he's a lot of credits, but realistically, he's also kind of a bargain. Like, he does a lot for those credits. Like, one of the key things that is probably a little more subtle until you see him in action is the fact that his las pistols are mastercrafted.
Yeah.
So he gets to re-roll, one failed hit roll per round with his pistols, and he gets to, so that's per pistol, so he gets to re-roll 2 failed hits per round, and he gets to re-roll 1 failed ammo check for each of them throughout the game as well. and being ammo 2+, which is naturally better than most hotshot weaponry. Like normal hotshot las pistols are ammo 4+.
Because strength 4 is pretty sweet.
Yeah, like, you know, he's not bad at all. He's got his 3 attacks, so typically he'll be making probably 2 with his saber and 1 with a hotshot, I imagine. But like, those are some damn reliable shots. Because being, you know, BS2+ means that outside of modifiers, he doesn't even need to be in short range. He can just be hitting you on 2s with a reroll.
Yeah.
And, you know, strength 4 AP -1 is going to keep repeatedly doing damage to stuff. Basically, I think he's great at dealing with anything short of a brute.
Yeah.
Like, basically a brute is the only thing that's going to be his downfall. And even then, he might not be taken out by them very quickly because his 3+ save might keep him just hanging around and being a nuisance for them. But then at that point, he's just becoming a very expensive nuisance. So you're not making the best of use of him. But like, I think he's really cool.
He is.
Like, I think what he does is he provides the epitome of what you want a cool action hero style Necromunda bounty hunter to be. Like, and I think you can have a lot of fun with him.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to feel like a huge feel bad for your opponent. It's not like he's showing up and he's this super deadly, like, plasma gun or meltagun toting badass who's just going to murk everything he sees.
Yeah.
No, what he's going to do is he's going to run around doing silly things, being a nuisance, avoiding grenades, avoiding power swords, popping people with las pistols occasionally, and actually, you know, doing some work, but not in such a way that your opponent is feeling either terrified and intimidated by him or just really pissed off because he's just so OP. You know what I mean? Like, he treads that line quite nicely, I think.
Yeah, I think he does. I don't think that it's... I think where the easier way of... Because if you go for a combat heavy sort of thing, it can be really easy to overpower a person, but the fact that it's movement and shooting, which are his survivability, but his movement and shooting is a thing that will potentially kill people a lot of the time. You can't. It's only as OP as the weapons that he's then shooting with, and hot shot las pistols aren't. I mean, they are pretty good, but they're not. They're not something that will just end everybody really easily.
Exactly. Yeah, they're good, but they're not a las cannon.
No, and for 300 and something points, 340 points, you've still got to take out a lot of stuff or do a lot of things to make that 340 credits worth it.
So, one of the things that he's deceptively good at is combat. Like, really good, because he's got a combination of skills and weapons that just really add up. So it doesn't state here, but I'm guessing his dueling saber probably has parry because it's a sword and it's a dueling saber. So I'm guessing he probably does have the parry skill. He's also got step aside on initiative 2+, so he can force your opponent to reroll 1 successful hit. He can 2+ avoid a 2nd successful hit, and because he's got counter attack, for every attack the opponent has that misses, he gets to make an attack at them with his hot shots or his sword or whatever. So you throw in your Goliath leader with 3 really strong, powerful attacks. 2 of them are more than likely not going to connect, and that 3rd one that does connect has to then, you know, be successful to wound him and then get past his 3+ save.
Yeah, true.
And if you don't put him down, he's going to return fire with 2 like gut shots from his hot shots.
Yeah, and
he's actually surprisingly good in combat.
I think it's going to be trying to work out how to kind of keep away from him, because he's just that survivable that if you get caught up in a fight where he goes from one person and consolidates kind of near another person, he'll just make his way round because he's just that sort of resilient to
And having Spring Up, solves the issue of just being pinned out of the game.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's either that or Nerves of Steel that kind of tries to bypass the whole pinning situation. And Spring Up's a great skill if you don't have if you don't have Nerves of Steel. I wonder which one's better, Spring Up or Nerves of Steel. Essentially do the same thing. They negate the knockdown process, don't they? Well, the being on the floor process.
The sort of upshots of it are, if you're knocked prone, you're then probably a harder target for subsequent shots.
True.
But you do have to take your forward checks. But if you've got Spring Up, you've probably got high initiative.
Yeah, so. And he's obviously got high initiative.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times you get shot. You only have to take one jump up test to be fine. Whereas every time you get shot with Nerves of Steel, you have to pass the Nerves of Steel check. Yeah,
true. That is very true. Yeah, swings and roundabouts, I guess.
But Nerves of Steel, at least you know at the start of your turn whether or not your fighter is on his feet or not.
That's true as well.
Spring Up, it's not guaranteed that you'll succeed. I mean, it's more than likely because you've probably got someone who's at least initiative 3+, probably 2+. But there's that chance that you're like, right, I'm going to do this thing with my fighter. Oh, I've rolled the 1.
Yeah.
Well, that changes my plans.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true.
At least if your Goliath is pinned, you know he's pinned, and then you can plan around that.
Yeah, that's very true. So I think this will fall into the situation where I'm going to buy the model because it's cool, but I know for a fact the way that I do rules that there's no way I'm going to remember all of his skills while I'm playing with him. And I know that I'll probably miss a load of stuff, and I don't think I'm going to utilise him properly either.
It'll take a few games with him before you sort of get it.
Because I'd know that I'd want to do at least 340 credits worth of damage, or difficulty.
And it won't feel like that.
No, because it's more of a. Oh, well, you harassed him for the whole game, which stopped him from doing his thing, and it's hard to see that. I mean, I'm definitely going to get the model because it's beautiful, and I want those two guys, but I don't think I'm going to use him too often. Again, it will be like my bounty hunters. It will be one-off games rather than, well, I suppose with that point cost, it's going to have to be anyway because it is very expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we are going on to Scabs. So next up is the paragraph, the bit about him, the lore. Life is hard in the Underhive, even so, more so for houseless drifters like Scabs. A product of two worlds, Scabs carries his ratskin heritage both as a blessing and a curse. Most civilised Underhivers view the bald-covered scum as a bad zone's scavenge and an outlander, never fully in accepting him into the settlements and homesteads. This is probably why Scabs turned to a violent life as a hired gun and a wasteland guide to make credits, and also why he fell in with Kal Jerico. He returned the bounty hunter's easy acceptance and unfailing loyalty. Kal saw in Scabs something the scum had never seen in himself, a talented scout with a keen eye for danger and a good heart. Over the years, Scabs has proven his worth to Kal time and time again. The scum's level-headed pragmatism, tempering his martyr's born vivant attitude with healthy dose of caution, often saving the pair from sump-spawned horrors and humorless gangers among countless other perilous situations. Okay guys, now that's done, we'll go into the stats. So he is 200 credits, unless, like I've discussed, he comes along with Kal Jerico, and then he's 100 credits. He's movement 5, weapon skill 5+, ballistic skill 3+, toughness 3, strength 3, wounds 2, initiative 3 up, 2 attacks. His unique weapons, he comes with a plasma gun and a stub gun. He is a gifted forager, so he adds +1 to dice when he's looking for rare equipment. And he has clamber, escape artist, and infiltrate. Alright then, so that's Scabs. With this gifted forager skill, when looking for rare equipment, how does that work if you're only using him for the game?
I mean, I guess you'd still get to just make use of it on your trading post roll, basically.
So he just helps everyone else and then disappears?
Yeah, basically. I suppose in the law he's probably also found something useful for himself or Jericho at the same time, but he's probably just found a good trader who's got good supplies.
And then he's sorted them both out and then given you whatever's left.
Yeah, because obviously like the bounty hunters do hang around for the post-game stuff. That's why you get credits relevant to them.
Right.
So when you hire them, they're with you basically until the start of the next game. So they're there with you for the post-game stuff as well. So that's why it'll help you find a good trader or someone who's got good supplies.
Cool. Oh, fair enough. I mean, would you be likely to run Scabs without Kal Jericho, do you think?
I don't think I'd probably run him without him. I think I would run Jericho without Scabs. I don't think I'd do it either way.
Especially as it's 200, isn't it?
Yeah, especially for 200 quid, it's quite an investment when you're not going to be getting Jericho as well.
So yeah, I think because of his skills kind of being clamber and escape artist, and escape artist doesn't really hugely have too much fun in it in the game. I mean, if he gets captured,
not really.
Yeah, if he gets captured, it's kind of like, well, he's not technically mine anyway.
I mean, I guess the way to look at it is it's 200 credits for a BS 3+ plasma gunner. You know,
that can infiltrate.
Yeah, and a plasma gun by itself is what, something like 140 credits or something. So I guess you're just looking at it as I'd like to hire a plasma gun this game.
Yeah, and it's only 100 credits because I've got Kal, maybe.
Yeah, if you're also investing, if you're taking Kal, and for 100 credits, like Scabs is a bargain. But, you know, maybe if you've got some credits spare and you just really, really want that plasma gun, then maybe he is useful for a one-off game, even by himself.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, that's the end of this bit. Hopefully Michael's sent his recording in, and for next up we've got Michael doing his book review of the Omnibus of Kal Jericho. Perfectly timed, so take it away, Michael.
Scummers, long time no see. The audio for this segment might be a little bit off because I'm in a bit of a different location, and it feels a bit echoey just speaking to myself, so you'll have to just deal with it. So here goes. Obviously it's been a long time with no see. Real life has really screwed me over the last few months, moving house and changing jobs and blah 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 blah. But let's park that rubbish and let's dive back behind the barricades of escapism. So for this segment I'm going to be doing a semi-review of the 3 fairly recent audio dramas from Black Library. They released individually some time ago, and in fact they slipped under my radar until I signed up to Audible and found them. And as this is being recorded, Games Workshop have released them on a CD containing all 3 stories, so it's a good time to pick them up. But do you want to spend the money? What are they? Are they worth a slice of your hobby dollar? Hopefully I'll give you a little insight. As with most of Games Workshop and Black Library's audio dramas, they're pretty short, ranging from less than 20 minutes to almost half an hour. But to be fair, this is reflected well in the price. Certainly when I purchased them individually, there was only the cost of a coffee or something from Costa or Starbucks. The biggest problem I'm going to have with these stories being so short is to try not to give you any spoilers, but still give you a fair idea of a vague synopsis, so you get some idea what each of the stories is about. However, minor spoiler alert, just in case I drop a testy. So, first up, Halfhorn by Josh Reynolds. This one comes in at a little over 19 minutes, and as the name suggests, you'll be treated to an appearance by the beastman bounty hunter we all know and love. But, of course, he needs a quarry. Enter the three support characters, Vaughn, Gull and Kaya. Without giving away their crime, it's enough to say that they are on the run. They are a ragtag bunch of mixed backgrounds coming from different gangs. There is constant bickering and arguing. And this arguing verges on becoming tiresome, but is tolerable in such a short drama. I enjoy the blatant name dropping of people, places and objects, which reinforce the Necromundan theme. The pace is brisk, with no down moments to be bored. As usual, the sound effects are great for adding to the atmosphere. The voice actors are a slight distraction for me. The gang leader Vaughn reminds me a little of the guy from Life on Mars, while Kaya, the female ganger, grates on me a little. I'm a bit wary of being overcritical of the way people sound. Heaven knows I'm monotone enough. Not sure exactly what it is about her voice. Perhaps it's a change of pitch, or is that her accent is too similar to the estuary Chavs I grew up with. I can't say much more without giving away the plot. Suffice to say that it's well worth the cost of a cup of coffee in Starbucks. Other coffee shops are available, as previously mentioned, and 20 minutes out of your day. Until listening to this, I never had any intention of buying the Halfhorn model, but my interest has been piqued just enough for me to want him now. It's just my house move and other priorities that have stopped me. I can imagine myself painting him up while listening to this story again. Next up, Expectatio by Matt Keefe. This one's about 25 minutes long, and from the graphic you can presume the drama centres around another Forge World model, Bartram Arturius III. Once again, I wasn't particularly inspired to pick up this model, but like the Halfhorn audio drama, I feel that I could justify now buying this model and then sitting there doing a bit of hobby, painting him up while I listen to this story again. In this story, we are treated to an insight into trade and operations of the guilders and the process of bounty hunting. More name dropping of places and objects, which I appreciate. The point of language is a little laboured, but once again it's something that can be tolerated on such a short story. I enjoyed the approach by Arturus, where a rat-skinned scout was hired and then different factions were played off against each other to aid his goals. The final point for me with this drama is that the voice of Arturus reminded me of someone, but I can't quite put my finger on who it is. Given the number of times I've listened to it, you'd think the penny would have dropped by now, but it hasn't. So I welcome you, the listeners, to comment and name who you think this character sounds like. This story is also inspiring from a terrain building perspective, and I'm looking forward to building a guilder, workshop or trading post, and also a bar or an inn. Finally, we have The Deserter by Justin D. Hill. This one is the longest of the three stories and comes in at 27 minutes. This story is pretty much just two main characters, one of which is yet another Forge World model. As an advertising tool, these stories work well to inspire and motivate to buy, which is obviously an effective strategy. But don't let that sound like a negative. You may have guessed, I'm sold on the idea. With this tale, we get to meet Karen, the evicted family member who once owned and ran a water still. You get a real sense of the difficulty of scratching an existence in the Underhive. Life is cheap and might is right. There is little room for friendship when there is the chance to make a few credits off the back of another's misfortune. The two characters' paths cross, and we are introduced to a crazy deserter who's just plain nuts. We are taken on a journey of desperation with hints of Jack and the Beanstalk. Karen sets off to find the deserter. The ultimate outcome is rather predictable, but still a worthy half hour of your time, and another Costa coffee, of course. So there's yet more hobby inspiration here. The possibility of building a water still, or to justify having lots of pipe work and vats and vessels. There's a couple of things that grate on me. The references to hardship and how difficult life is. For example, at one point, Karen mentions that she hasn't eaten for days, but then at that point she then sets off on a quest to go and find the bounty hunter, which she says takes her a week, and then she still has to return home to her elderly mother, who's also sick. So if Karen hasn't been eating for that amount of time, you can likely assume that her mother hasn't either. And lo and behold, she's still not dead. Spoilers. I also can't shake the thought that Catherine Tate would make an excellent mother, or at least that's what I visualise. So, did I manage to get a spoiler-free commentary? Maybe. Aside from that, do yourself a favour and reduce your caffeine intake and strap in for a mild waltzer of a ride. They stand up to a few listens, and I'm sure you wouldn't skip them if they came up on a random shuffle playlist. So for now, that's me, Michael, out. Over to you, scummers. Get yourself busy and stay alive.
Okay, guys, welcome back. We have a segment now about the tactics cards that came out as a free download from Games Workshop. There were some gang-specific ones, and there were also some generic ones. We've got a few of them written down, and we've got some to discuss. So I thought maybe some cheesy combinations as well. So I'm hoping I haven't made a mistake, and they are actually doable. But should we go through the list and just chat about which ones we think are cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I've got the first one as take the initiative, simple one. It just guarantees you're taking priority for the turn.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, if you can aim it that way. I mean, if you've both got it, then I can't remember now, I wrote it down at one point. I think you roll off for then.
Just roll off again.
Yeah. But it is really helpful if you know you need to have that next turn.
And I find quite often from sort of like turn 2, maybe turn 3 at most onwards, having that priority is usually key. Like, I find it's often the case that both players have about 2 to 3 like activations they'd really like to do first before like their opponents or like the targets or the people they're engaged with or whatever get to activate. So, activating second is usually like still okay because you can probably take control of the like field elsewhere. But getting that control of the first activation is usually quite key for objectives and such. Like, yeah, sure, if you activate second, you might get the drop on their champion or something, but that's because they were busy activating the person who was defiling the relic, or the person who is about to, kill the enemy leader or something, some sort of key moment. So just being able to sort of effectively guarantee it on the turn when you really need it, I think it's a really, really strong tactics card.
And the potential to say, if you know you need to coop like someone's on the floor and you could potentially just coop the grower on the next turn, and all you need is to make sure that one of your guys gets to him first before he has priority and gets up off the floor.
Yeah,
it's really helpful as well.
Like, one of the sort of general themes of a lot of these new tactics cards is just establishing a little more reliability when you need it. Like, it's not an overpowered tactics card in that it's not absolutely destructive. It's probably not going to by itself win you the game, but it's probably going to do, you know, a good bit of work towards that. It's just a really, really good card. Like I say, on the face of it, it's not. It'll almost feel like after that first activation, by the time you get to your second one, you'll kind of feel like, all right, well, we're just back to alternating. You know, it doesn't feel like that tactics card's having a lasting effect on the turn, but it'll have had a very key, important effect at the beginning.
Yeah, and you can just hold on to it to that important moment.
Yes, like you can sort of really evaluate each turn, going like, right, am I okay if I activate second here, or is it crucial that I activate first? Like,
no.
In the game I played, there was a very, very important turn that came down to, right, if I can activate first, I can defile the relic, and if I don't, my person stood next to the relic is about to get blown away by a heavy stubber.
Yeah.
So
quite an important one then.
Yeah, so that's like quite an important priority roll. So if I'd had this tactic card, just knowing I could guarantee that I get to defile the relic, even if it means my Juve gets blown away afterwards, at least I know I've done the important thing. Whereas if I
100%.
fail that, whereas like failing that important roll would be huge.
Yeah, no, I do definitely think that's a helpful card. So next up is Speedy Recovery. So let's just re-roll a single recovery dice. Helpful if you do screw up a roll.
Well, that's the thing. You say it's just a re-roll a dice, but re-rolling a dice in Necromunda is rare. There's not very much stuff that lets you do that. And again, just being able to have another go at a critical roll, so helpful. That's especially useful if you've got a ganger or someone who's out by themselves and they haven't got support. So when you're at the whim of the single injury dice to see what happens to them, like, you can re-roll it with this tactics card.
Yeah, it can kind of get you out of that you've rolled out of action sort of situation.
Yeah, if you go from my stray champion who's found themselves isolated and injured and bleeding out, I rolled out of action, let me just re-roll that. I rolled seriously injured, that means they'll roll over and take the they rolled flesh wound. They'll take the flesh wound and roll over. Perfect. Suddenly you've gone from losing that champion to actually having them back in the fight. Yeah.
No, they are. That one's quite cool too. I mean, on the whole, that's just going to be the theme with all of them, essentially. Yeah, I mean, stand firm, auto pass bottle test for a turn.
Huge.
That's pretty damn sweet as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you know it's like coming down to both of you being at the point where
it's getting really tense and you can both potentially be bottling.
Just that one time where you're like, no, I'm okay. This is all on you.
I definitely will have all my fighters here next turn.
Yeah, but let's see if yours. I think that one's really cool. I mean, not so much for my Goliaths because they're a bit cooler, but
big for my Esches though. If ever I find myself in a position where I'm at risk of bottling, like being able to just take one more turn where I don't have to worry about it, and I can make sure that everyone is gonna behave reliably. It could be the difference between winning and losing.
No, definitely. And the next one's Lucky Shot. Reroll to hit, to wound, or to injure roll. Now, I know it's called Lucky Shot, but it doesn't actually mention that it's for shooting. I was wondering if you could use it for combat. Now, if someone tried that, I'd be no, but I was just questioning it because it doesn't mention shooting.
I mean, I'd assume it'd be fine. Like,
I suppose a lucky shot would be a lucky punch as well, wouldn't it?
yeah, like you'd still refer to like a lucky knockout punch or whatever as a a lucky shot.
Yeah.
They do call it a gut shot.
And it's not. It doesn't say shooting phase or anything to resemble it being a gun. It was just hit,
just
wound,
other than the name. Perhaps they could maybe have gone with they just called it lucky hit.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's just a slightly somewhat misleading name.
Yeah, and again, it's generally a helpful skill, but not world breaking. I mean, it can be the difference between where you've hit with something and it's supposed to be 2s to wound, and you still managed to roll that 1. I mean, this would probably be a card that Michael would use about 62 times a game.
Just as a deck of lucky hits.
Yeah.
And then maybe he'll get some average rolls.
Yeah. But he'd have to just burn through them all. But yeah, again, not the end of the world, but not game changing, but still helpful just to bring itself whenever. Just
introducing the concept of rerolls to Necromunda is just a big shift and like a good one.
And then next one's a nice one, extra move. Can be paid at any point of an activation, so you get an extra however many inches of movement, so that could really help my Zerka getting up the board or your Escher getting across the board essentially. Because you could kind of jam that together with other different bits, like you can overseer and double move and then that move as well. You'd be shifting all over the shop if you can move everyone about properly. If your leader's out ahead, then you move your 2 double moves, then overseer another 2, and then an extra move from this. You'd probably get quite a lot of speed out of that.
Yeah, and that's assuming that the person in question doesn't have like the sprint skill or anything.
Yeah, God Christ, yeah. That is a very quick model.
Yeah, or don't even have like a +1 movement increase or something. Like if I have an Escher Juve that's got +1 movement, their base movement 7.
So that's 14 double move. Then overseer another 14 if you're in range, and then an extra move. Christ, that is one quick Juve.
Might as well have a teleporter.
Yeah. Bait and switch. Take an activation from one fighter and give it to another.
Now this one's huge.
Could you use overseer as well? Could someone technically fire 3 rounds of shooting, say? Because I was thinking if the Van Saar brute, the Arachnorig, that can rapid fire. If that then had another 2 turns on top of that of rapid firing, because you could overseer with it, and then also...
When you say rapid fire, do you mean having fast shot?
No, it's got... I can't remember the rule now. But
I know it can fire 2 weapons, can't it?
Yeah, because of it's got some sort of... some rig set up that allows it to fire... Like, it counts as a basic skill, so you can do 2. So it could do the 2, then overseer the 2, and then do this for 2. And I think it's rapid fire 2 as well. As long as you don't muck up an ammo roll.
Or
you'd be like a
quite
gun
realistically
machine.
Run out of targets.
Yeah. if there's like 6 people in front of you, they're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, especially when you consider that being rapid fire weapons, you can hit multiple targets on one shot, because you can spread the hits. Like if you roll 3 hits of your rapid fire weapon, you could allocate them to 3 people if the second 2 were within an inch or whatever of the initial target.
Jeez, it will get messy. Very,
just
very
line up all those corridor gangers and just gun them down.
Yeah. Oh Christ. Yeah.
But yeah,
so that's what I was thinking about it, but the potential for all of the extra stuff.
Well, conceivably, this obviously is a brilliant thing for, say, your Goliath Zerka.
definitely.
Because you
I
can
can
be
get
like,
him.
right, well, he's going to spend his activation standing up because he's been pinned, and then
Getting up a bit closer.
and getting a bit closer, and then you're going to trade off the activation of your Juve or whatever for the turn, so that the Circa can then charge.
And then there's the other card, one of the Goliath special ones as well, which I'll talk about later as well. It could be, he could finally be a death machine, especially if I'm making versatile with the clawy things as well, the spiked fists.
And especially if you use the underdog system from White Dwarf, or your credits difference between gangs. If ever you're playing as the understrength gang, you can spend 200 points, 200 credits of your gang difference to select a tactics card rather than just draw a random extra one.
Ooh.
So if you're playing as the understrength gang, you can more likely, just guarantee having that card for use at some point with your Zerker. Because otherwise, that is typically, the issue here is that these are tactics cards, so they still rely on you drawing them. It's not like it's just suddenly an access to a guaranteed new set of skills or anything. But that doesn't change the fact that they are really good when you draw them, and there are ways to sort of, manipulate or influence what you draw. So.
But yeah, that's essentially Overseer, though, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Taking the activation from one fight and giving it to another, but it doesn't have to have a range. So you could just dummy out one of your Jews and essentially suck out his.
What I can see
activity and give it to
happening
someone
here
else.
has just been really, really dastardly. Is the Dilac gang using the strategy, using their own tactics card that lets you actually physically swap the location of two of your gangers. Wherever they are on the board, they replace each other because they're all sneaky and interchangeable. And so you can be like, right, my stealthy plasma gunner or whatever, who you could have infiltrated him, blasted away target number 1, sure, whatever. Then you play your Dilac card to swap positions with one of your other gangers, and then use this card to effectively overseer him so he can fire again completely somewhere else on the board at a completely different target.
Yeah, you could just launch a heavy flamer at someone.
Yeah.
Slingslot a heavy flamer and just don't move him. Just be like, swap heavy flamer. Because you can just essentially bait. Well, I suppose that's the whole idea, bait and switch. You can just be like, oh, look at this single person all by himself. It'd be a shame if and then just swap him over, and then it's just some big dude with a heavy flamer just battering down the corridor.
Yeah, just sprint your Juve down the corridor. Then please switch him out for your heavy flamer guy.
Yeah, surprise. Oh, dirty. Then, so that one's obviously Overseer, which is quite a popular one. Then there's Rapid Healing, recover a wound or remove a flesh wound.
See, now
not bad.
Yeah, this is a very unique, and it's a new frontier because outside of the, I think it's only the Escher Chimerics at the moment that has the regeneration rule. So other than that, I think this is the first instance where you're actually able to recover a wound in Necromunda. Like, I know there's a couple of things that allow you to remove flesh wounds that you've acquired, but you could actually get a wound back with this, which is not something that you can really do anywhere else. So again, it's breaking new ground with a lot of these tactics cards.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just to see how everyone gets on with it, I guess, as to whether things need house ruling and stuff after that.
I think the natural safety valve on it is going to be the fact that it is tactics cards. So the majority of the time, you're going to have drawn into them by chance.
Yeah. Yeah, so all of them are helpful, but you can't guarantee them.
Not game breaking. Yeah.
Yeah. Reckless charge. Just you just guaranteeing your charge movement of 3 inches. So there's no D3 for it. You kind of know if you're in that range, you know you're going to get in charge range.
Yeah, again, another just useful, reliable tool available to you now.
Yeah, it's not one that you dance around that you got, but
still, just knowing that when you've got to make that important charge and you only need to roll a 3+, well, now you don't even need to roll a 3+. Now you just know that
you're gonna get it.
You're gonna get it, yeah.
And then we've got the ones specific for the gangs. So my favourite, the Goliaths, Stim Overload. Charge is a basic action in the turn, so you can move and charge, or if I'm knocked on the floor but I'm in charge range, doesn't it mean I can charge that turn?
Yes, because standing up then leaves you with one other basic action to make for the turn. Well, this means that a charge move is a basic action.
Yay. I was just thinking, if I was lucky enough to get double time in this, I could Overseer, if I was in range, Berserker, to get him 8 inches, then double time to move another 4, then move one more 4 inches, my basic move, and then Stim overload the charge, so it'd be another 4 inches plus the D3, so that would be a possible 23-inch move for the Berserker. That would be pretty sweet. I want to try it on you.
And then consolidate away from the thing he is now promptly murdered.
Yeah. Yeah, I really want to try that. So if you can stand like an Escher 20 inches away, that would be great. Then at least I know I can definitely make the charge and I won't roll a 1 or something. But yeah, I just thought that would be a way of getting my Berserker across the board. If I was lucky enough to get both of those.
It'd be a way to get your Berserker climbing a crane. You got enough movement.
Yeah. But I thought it's handy to have something that allows him to get off the floor and attack without the spine fists, or hoping to get the nerves of steel as a skill.
Like I do think that's it seems to be one of the key things for making the Berserker work, certainly the way that you want to play with him. So yeah, it's just really useful to have more tools in that toolbox for him.
Yeah, I think it's just helpful being able, or anyone who's pinned, just to get them off the floor and actually be able to charge. It's quite helpful.
I think probably between the number of tactics cards that can help you with it now, and if you've got one person at least with Overseer in your gang, you can probably expect to pull off a charge from the floor probably at least once per game with Berserker, which is probably all you need, especially if it's just timed at the right moment when your opponent thinks they're safe, so they overcommit.
Yeah.
And then the Berserker catches a bunch of them all at once.
Oh, that would be messy.
Yes, it would.
Talking about Van Saar and extra shooting, I've got the Van Saar's one next is Rapid Fire. So the fighter can take a free basic shoot action. And this is where, again, I was thinking of the Arachnorig. So he shoots twice. The thing I've just realised, because I've written it down here, is the superior weapons array. So that's what allows it to shoot its rapid fire thing twice.
Right.
So then you could use this. So you can use its normal shooting twice, then Overseer to shoot twice. Then again, with this card, that would be 3 lots of double shooting. And then what was the other? What was the other thing?
Just
bait and switch. You could then
switch, yeah.
So you could do 4 lots of rapid fire, which would be pretty horrible. If you had an ammo jack nearby, or
could you use this one
munitioner?
Could you use this one out of sequence then? So like, could you have done something with this ganger earlier in the turn, and then activated a couple more gangers elsewhere?
That's a fair point. It doesn't say whether it has to be done directly in the turn in its activation or not.
Because I would interpret it as it doesn't. So you just go, because it probably says instead of activating a fighter, I imagine. It'd probably be like you do this instead. So like your activation for the turn is a fighter gets to do a basic shoot action.
The things I noticed about these is the text for them was all really quite basic. Then let me see if I can find, because I did download the tactics cards, so let me see if I can find the PDF and just double check now. Web exclusive tactics cards, let's have a look. Yeah, they're really limited in their text. I'll read the exact wording. Speed recovery, stand firm, lucky shot, double in, bait and switch, just skimming, there we go. So let's have a look. Let's read the exact wording. Oh, I know what I did. I got overexcited because I have Vansar and Goliath. So I put them in that order, but it's not the order they come in the cards.
Yeah.
Rapid fire. Play this. Oh, there we go. Play this card when activating a fighter. So it has to be done. So you can't just because it would essentially be Overwatch then, wouldn't it? Because you could put the model there and wait for someone to run across and be like, now I fire. But yeah.
So it's basically it's effectively giving them like fast shot for the turn, because they can make, if they wanted, they could make 2 basic shoot actions, or if they really wanted, I guess they could like move and shoot, for example.
Yeah. Or you could even shoot and charge. I mean, if you were lucky enough to put them down on the shot.
Just put them down on the shot and then just run up and coup de grace them.
Yeah. So that'd be pretty cool. Gives you unlimited possibilities. Then there's your dirty one, swift redeployment. I don't know. I didn't think this one was amazing, but roll D3. All fighters can move that distance, even if they've been activated already.
So I mean, I think the name's a little misleading.
Because I thought that sounds like it should be in the before deployment, before first turn. But it's not.
It can be any time, and I think the best use of it really is when there's a bit of a scrum going on in the middle of the board or wherever. Like when there's a whole bunch of mayhem, like erupting. If you roll that d3 and you get 3 inches, and suddenly you can move every one of your fighters 3 inches, that can be quite a big difference. That can be like one person runs up to a door who's yet to activate, so when they activate they can now open or close that door. That can be someone who's looking a little injured can suddenly step behind cover and out of line of sight. Someone who was round the corner and wasn't quite in the fight yet, they can move round it, and now they don't have to move to shoot. They could instead aim and shoot. Like, it
doesn't say whether it can pull you out of combat.
I'd assume not, because it just says roll d3. All fighters can move that distance, even if they have been activated already. So I would consider that basically meaning they get to make a free move action, as it were.
Right. And because they're in combat, they can't move.
No, because they would be disengaging instead.
Right.
Like they'd be making a disengage action, which is a different action.
That's fair enough.
Or something like that. But like, it would seem weird to me to be able to move out of combat.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could rule it that if they did, you would just have to make your normal initiative checks for both them and the person they're fighting against. But I think that would probably be more a house ruling or personal preference.
Yeah.
As to whether or not you feel like it's fine being used to move out of combat or not. Personally, I think it'd probably be better erring on the side of not allowing to move out of combat.
Yeah. I think the same.
Yeah, like we know you wouldn't be able to use it to move into combat because you can't move within an inch of someone unless you're declaring a charge. Which you're not doing. You're just moving. So I would assume that the same would be true in that you're not leaving combat, you're not disengaging, you're just moving.
Yeah, no, it seems fair enough.
But,
I think it's always just worth checking with the person you're playing with before you play it, I guess.
Oh yeah,
or your arbiter.
But yeah, like I think it's one of those ones where it's actually best used in the middle of the game, not so much so at the start. Which is where I think most people probably think of using it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's important that there's maybe a couple of things that you think, oh no, that's going to really get mullered now. If you could just move them round the corner.
Yeah, you
Meaning
avoid
that
getting
person
engaged.
in the heavy weapons has to then move to actually hit them, then it nullifies that person entirely.
Or your heavy person can move 3 inches and get into line of sight by stepping around the corner without having had to actually move.
Yeah.
And so on.
Yeah, because that's another thing. Does it actually count as a movement, or does it just?
No, because that's the weird thing. So unlike with say 40k, there's nothing that stops you from firing a heavy weapon if you've moved in the turn. It's just that firing a heavy weapon requires a double action. So typically, 90% of the time, if you've moved, that's one of your 2 actions. But there isn't anything that actually says you can't fire it or have a penalty if you've moved. You could be doing bait and switch and overseer in order to sprint your heavy stubber guy, like effectively 4 move actions, but he hasn't actually activated. So then when he activates, he can shoot. It doesn't matter that he's already sprinted like 12 inches that turn.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it is actually not too bad. I just thought it was. I don't think the beginning of the game, and I just thought me.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hugely beneficial card. It's one of those ones where at the right moment, at the right time, it could be game changing, but the majority of the time, you're probably not going to be drawing it when you need it. Or the real skill with it will be if you draw it early on in the game, holding fire with it and being able to judge when is the right time to pull the trigger on it and really make use of it.
Yeah. So again, it's not game changing. Or the Orlock one, Last Gasp. So to use when your fighter is seriously injured, they then stand and become active after the activation, and then they go out of action and are removed from play.
So a last chance to do something before you guarantee going out.
So if you get shot or punched, does this work if my attack seriously injured you, or like in a coup de grace?
Use when fighter is seriously injured. It depends when it specifies that you're allowed to use it. You might want to check the exact wording on the card for when the option to use it is allowed.
Last Gasp, here we go. Pay this card when activating a seriously injured fighter. This fighter immediately becomes standing and active. At the start of the fighter's action, they then go out of action. So, but then seriously injured fighters, I generally take straight off once they're seriously injured.
Yeah, so they won't get a chance to use it. So,
oh no, I'm thinking of. Hang on, there's flesh wound, seriously injured, and out of action. Are they the right ones? My brain's gone blank. Okay, so it's on the ones who are on their front essentially.
Yeah, the ones who are bleeding out and crawling about.
But that just essentially means that you're gonna just choose to take them out of the game, give them one more go, but take them off.
Yes,
because they might not necessarily go out of action.
That's the payoff. Yeah, is that you're getting an action effectively, full effectiveness, but the payoff is that you are choosing to have your seriously injured person go out of action when that isn't necessarily going to happen to them. Obviously, if they're on the floor bleeding out and they're surrounded by a whole load of enemy fighters,
it'd be fun to try and shoot someone in the face before you go.
Yeah, because quite often what can happen is if someone gets downed by a shooting attack and they find themselves kind of in the huddle of enemies, getting coup de grace probably isn't going to immediately happen because they'll think that, right, well, they're bleeding out now. They're not a problem. I can coup de grace them later on in the turn. Right now, I need to be busy, shooting the people who are still standing. So you might actually find that your bleeding out person gets left for a couple of activations before your opponent is planning to actually, put the boot in. So you might get an opportunity to stand up and do some harm back when you're probably going to be going out anyway because you know any your gang mates, and it's pretty inevitable that you're going to be getting coup de grace.
Yeah. I mean, just I suppose it's more of the fun ones. I'm thinking it's more of a one for a laugh to see if you can just take someone out. I'm just trying to think when I'd actually use it and choose to use. Essentially, put my person out of action.
It's a potentially useful one if it's someone who's got like a melter trap or something on them, because you can be like, right, well, they get to stand up and activate normally, so I'm going to run them right into, say, the middle of the opponent's gang, or just wherever the key place is on the board, and then deploy this grenade or this trap, and then I'm going to go out of action.
Yeah,
but they've managed to get the trap set up. Things like they could run over and defile the relic, and then collapse. Like they could just try and achieve whatever the mission objective is before they go out. Like there are uses for it.
Defile the relic by bleeding all over it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Then, I'm just trying to think of when you would use it in a turn as well. So, say he's seriously injured, you could potentially coup de grace that person, couldn't you? So, if, say I shot them with one of my gangers, unless they used their next turn to do this card with that person, then my next turn I could still coup de grace them before they even use this card. They'd have to make sure that if there's a potential for them to be taken straight out of action, that they use this card on that person first. Because it's not just randomly.
But like I was saying, your priority at this point is not coup de gracing. Is not necessarily coup de gracing that injured person. Your priority might be activating your heavy weapon guy who's yet to fire, because right now he can still see some juicy targets.
No, I'm a Goliath. I want to take that person out of action.
Your Zerker is stood next to some juicy targets.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, I'd go Zerker first. Zerker first, coup de grace second. But that's only just.
Yeah, but in that moment, that's when the opponent goes, right, well, I can, stand up and do some damage before I go out.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it'll have its cheeky moments.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of being able to just do one last. Like, it would be perfect for Carl's two fingers model. Just as his last thing, he gets up, shoots someone, and then just sticks two fingers up and then dies.
Stands up, performs his last action. He aims two birdies at you.
I like the Cawdors one. Call the Faithful. Add D3 randomly selected models to the scenario, even if it exceeds the maximum crew size. I thought that was quite cool.
That is very cool, especially if it's in a scenario where you've got a random crew selection, because just having those extra bodies is really going to push it in your favour, because you're increasing your odds of getting the key people, the ones you want to be present. Yeah,
definitely. I thought that one was quite cool.
I know I could have used that in my last game, if I was able to, if I had faithful Esches.
Yeah. Boo. They're dirty Esches. So I do like that one. Delax, mass infiltration. So D3 fighters get in the gang, get infiltrate.
See, and that is an instance of infiltrate that I like, because it is exactly what it says. It is mass infiltration. So you don't end up isolated. If you wanted to, set up a little group, that is ideal for a champion and two friends, or even a leader and two friends.
Yeah, because you can get a couple of your champions or whatever you've already got as infiltrators, and then just infiltrate the rest.
Yeah, so like you could
some more.
Yeah, exactly. You could get this. You could have these D3 extra fighters on top of the fact that your champion already has infiltrate. So this can be his little entourages, taking out on a scouting mission.
Yeah, come with me, boys. I'll show you how to start early. But yeah, I just thought that was quite a cool one.
I think that is a good one, and I think that is a good instance of infiltrate.
Yeah, it's
like
not
I do think they exist.
Isolated. I know you're not a huge fan of.
I'm just not a fan of the one and done champion with a deadly weapon, who appears next to the enemies and then dies after taking one or two of them out.
Yeah, it's the suicide bomber of champions.
Yeah.
Then there is the Gene Stealer Cult Ambush. The deployment is expanded by 3 inches. I mean, the only time I'd find that really helpful would be when I want to start up on a ledge that I could technically get to, because if it was in my deployment area, you can basically set up anywhere at any height as long as it's within your deployment zone. But just sometimes those ledges are just out of reach, and it means you have to climb 3 sets of ladders to get to that point. Whereas if you've expanded it ever so slightly, then it just gives that potential to get to heights that you wouldn't have got to at the very start of the game.
I do think this is one that will be more useful in Sector Mechanicus.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I don't think, that 3 inches is going to be huge. Because effectively, that's kind of like the Escher one. If you used the D3 extra movement in deployment, or like on the first turn, and you rolled your 3 inches, but like I've said with the Escher card, I don't think its strength is at the start of the game, its strength is mid-game. So this is, like you say, I think taking that extra 3 inches in Sector Mechanicum and kind of translating it into options in vertical height, because suddenly you've got a larger space of the board to play with, I think could be helpful.
Yeah,
I don't think you can do a lot in Zone Mortalis, really.
Because a lot of the time when you set up your boards, it's generally slightly sparse right at the start and then builds up from there. And so all of those ledges where you could instantly be on floor 3 are ever so slightly out of your deployment. But if you can just start straight away with it in your deployment, because your deployment's that much bigger. Yeah.
Even just starting on floor 2 of 3 or 4 is just relevant, because that's going to basically put you a turn ahead on game to where you need to be.
I quite like the Chaos Cult one.
The Chaos Cult one I think is my favourite. If
your demagogue is seriously injured or taken out of action, roll a willpower check. If it's passed, then it's replaced by a Chaos Spawn. Which means you are more likely to actually play with a Chaos Spawn, because it's a bit of a pain to actually get to work.
Yeah, and the key thing with this is that I can't remember. Does it say you have to restrain the spawn or not? I know that your Demiurge reverts back after the game, so there's no lasting effect. But do you still have to try and restrain it? I can't remember. What does the card say?
Probably not. Let me have a look. I don't think so, because I think it's essentially as soon as. There we go. Dark Blessing. Play this card, make a willpower check, replace the demagogue with Chaos Spawn. During the warp step, the Chaos Spawn is removed from play. You must test to see if the demagogue succumbs to their own injuries as normal, as if they were seriously injured when the battle ended. So it doesn't mention, it's like it's literally as soon as the game ends, they become the person that was seriously injured at the point they turned into the demon.
Yes, that's one of the key things, is that you don't have to try and restrain him afterwards, so he doesn't end up potentially injuring. He doesn't potentially end up injuring other fighters in the gang, or even escaping and stealing the hive.
Yeah.
But
it's essentially a werewolf. It just turns back.
I mean, I think narratively speaking, it's not meant to be so much that he's literally suddenly succumbed to spawn them. I think it's meant to be that he suddenly had like a burst of demonic mutations and vigor, and sort of like he has very briefly become a conduit for chaos energy. And the best way to represent that in game is going, right, well, basically create him this random monster profile for the rest of the game because he's now empowered by chaos.
Yeah, he's Super Saiyan for a second.
Yeah, basically.
And then lastly is the Venator's one, Blood Money. Play when an enemy champ or leader goes out of action, you immediately gain half that total in your stash. It's a good way of making a bit of cash. Just take out their most expensive player because it's not necessarily the leader, and then you got half their money. You could just aim to take that person out of action and just try and do the objective and kill that one person or take them out of action. You'd do quite well with the money each game.
Which is kind of quite Bounty Hunty-esque, really, isn't it? It's kind of like, right, sod the objective. We just want to bring that person in because there is a valuable bounty on their head.
Yeah, my Van Sol with the heavy plasma cannon will probably be picked on. Boo. But yeah, it does fit the thingy. It's not something you generally use actually in the game properly, but it does fit their lore.
Yeah, I think well. That it's like, I think it's a good way of being representative of how the Venator gangs would behave within like the events that are happening in the Hive during your campaign, as opposed to what's going on in that particular skirmish.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the Van Sars. My brain's gone blank. Their skills like
Savant.
Savant, the Savant skills. A lot of them are used after the game, which are very helpful, but you don't notice them really in the actual game itself.
No, but I've seen Vansai gangs do well in the long run because after every game they're just cashing in, more so than other gangs, and it'll help just tip them ahead on that like arms race.
Yeah, 100%. In the long run, it's really helpful, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I want to be able to do it in the game, otherwise it doesn't count.
If it doesn't help me kill things better, I'm not interested.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Was there anything else in the tactics cards that I missed any, or I think that was all of them?
No, I think that was all of them.
I'm definitely going to use them. I mean, I'm going to put them into the deck. The problem is, because they're downloadable, they look very different to the ones you get from Games Workshop. So when you're pulling them randomly, how can you really be random with it? Because they look too dissimilar.
I mean, I guess the way to do it ultimately, like the easiest, quickest shorthand way to do it is you just, well, the easiest way is you just shuffle the deck. Even if you just shuffle the cards just without really looking at them. Just shuffle blind and then just reveal the top card.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what the back of the card looks like. You just reveal the top card.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't just randomly pick out, like slide the deck and randomly pick by looking at them, because you could clearly see what's what then. But yeah, I suppose shuffling, not looking, and then just picking the top three off your top of your deck would probably be the best way of doing it.
Yeah, like you say, if you've got the dice for it and you've not got too many cards, then roll a dice, just to determine. But if you've got a full deck, then rather than rolling a D100 and counting out the first 40 cards, you might as well just shuffle and draw one.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. So that's it for the tactics cards. If you have noticed anything that you really like, or you've realised there's something that we've missed, please write in the comments when I post up the group. Post up the podcast onto the group. And yeah, it'd be good to have a look and see what everyone else is doing with them. But that's it for the tactics cards. We'll go for Tony next, because we're talking about the games played. Okay, games played now. It'll be Tony who's played the game. So, Tony, do you want to jump right in?
Yeah, so the other week I played what is probably one of the most memorable games of Necromunda I've had to date, which I think is really interesting considering that it was an Escher v Escher game. And like I have played mirror matches before, same gang on same gang, and they do sometimes feel, I think, a little lackluster because it can just feel like no one's doing anything fancy because you're both doing the same fancy things. But this really didn't feel like that. And the key reason for that I mentioned earlier was that I was playing against a previously developed and experienced gang from a previous campaign.
That's right.
Whereas I was using a gang that was fresh to this campaign. And our two approaches to gang development was very different. So, whereas I tend to go for larger numbers and more sparsely spread equipment, my opponent was actually playing with a very small, very elite, but highly trained and equipped gang. So, to be honest, it almost felt a bit like playing Goliaths.
Okay.
Because all these
Eschers were
yeah, all these Eschers were practically toughness 4, and their main preference for dealing damage was combat or shotguns or this one champion with a heavy stubber.
Right.
And they, very much wanted to just get close and pull me apart. Whereas I'm playing with, las guns, stiletto knives, needle rifles. I'm trying to sort of keep people engaged at mid-range and then going in for a killing blow with a blade.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when all the opponents are toughness 4, it makes your toxic weaponry a lot less effective.
Yeah. Yeah, especially now the rules have changed.
Yeah, and for the life of me, I just could not roll any seriously injured dice. All that was happening was I kept rolling flesh wounds.
Oh.
Which would have been fine if they started at toughness 3.
Yeah, true.
But starting at toughness 4, the flesh wound was just basically not bothering them.
So, because they extra, did they have an increase in wounds as well? Or...
No, but because taking a flesh wound just lowers your toughness by 1 point.
Because it's toughness, yeah, of course. It just then brings them back to what they were to start with.
Yeah, which then leaves them pretty unscathed, as it were, to then attack me back, and then I do not handle taking the hit as well as they did.
Oh. So it didn't...
But...
Did the numbers help at all?
They did, but in, the most clutch way possible. So... It was because we were playing in our Dominion campaign, and the scenario we were playing was border dispute. So we both had a turf on the line, and it's the mission where the two gangs start with D3 plus 4 gangers.
Okay.
No. D3 plus 3? Yeah, that's it, yeah. D3 plus 3 gangers. And then the rest of your gang are in reinforcements.
It's not a great one for you, is it? In theory.
No. But then two gangers... Sorry, one ganger from each gang starts within an inch of each other in the centre of the table, because basically they're the two that are having an argument over the border.
Right.
So, yes, that was it. So your gang size is D3 plus 4, but one of your fighters is in the centre, sort of in this effectively duel. And I was playing against a gang that had 7 members total, but the leader had a fear cat, so it was effectively 8 enemy fighters.
Yeah, because it was already in there.
Yeah, and that fear cat was no joke. It had leveled up twice, so it was strength 4,
wow.
and it had an extra point of movement. So it was like movement 9 or something was this fear cat. It was stupid. But anyway, and I was bringing my like full strength. I had one ganger who was missing the game, which was just a ganger with a lasgun, who was in recovery for that game. So I was bringing a roster of 14 gangers, I think. Leader, 2 champions, 3 juves, and then I think 4 gangers with lasguns and 2 gangers with swords and pistols. So like I had like numbers advantage on paper, but when we rolled to determine our gang sizes or our starting crew, I rolled a 1, so nice. I had 5 gangers total, and he rolled the 3, which meant he had 7 total.
Nice. So basically, most of his
basically his gang. Now you randomise which of those fighters are the ones that are present, and the only 2 that he didn't have on the board to begin with was his ganger with a flamer and his juve.
Oh, Christ.
So he had his leader, who had shockwhip and plasma pistol, and was like weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+ and toughness 4 and silly stuff. Champion with heavy stubber, and like suspensors and BS like 2+ and all sorts.
Definitely sounds like BS. 2+.
Yeah. A pair of like toughness 4 gangers with shotguns with acid rounds. I think another juve, or whatever. Like basically, more or less always a gang. Plus, obviously, the leader had the fear cat with her. So I actually had. So discounting the 2 that were fighting in the centre of the board, I had 3 gangers, and he had I think like 7, including the fear cat.
Jesus. So it didn't go great.
Well, so the issue was that I still had numbers. Like I think I had like 10 or something people in reserve, like in reinforcements, including my leader and both my champions. But my initial startup as well, like the ones who I started on the board, I had 2 gangers of lasguns and incendiary charges, because I've got a Prometheum cache. And then I had a juve with stiletto, knife and stub gun, and my recently painted ganger with grenade launcher. Yay. So obviously, first game with newly painted model, with a new piece of equipment from the trading post. First time she fired her grenade launcher, she immediately rolled an ammo check and ran out of ammo.
Nice.
As is wanting to happen.
Yep.
But yeah, so I had a ganger with lasgun and incendiary charge who'd picked a fight with one of these toughness 4 shotgun toting gangers from the enemy gang. So they were stood within an inch of each other, and the first priority roll was won by my opponent. So the shotgun toting ganger immediately took a step back and decided to try and shotgun blast my ganger into the furnace pit that they were stood next to.
Oh, blimey.
Thankfully, somehow she missed the shot.
Hey. She should have aimed and shot him.
It wouldn't have helped. He rolled a 1.
Oh, Christ. Okay.
Because he had the accuracy bonus that technically he was hitting on 2s anyway.
Oh, okay. Oh,
so anyway, so that did give me an opportunity to run my ganger basically into like his half of the board, and where his other gangers are all set up, throw an incendiary charge in there, which
Oh.
didn't really do any damage, but it did what it needed to do in that it disrupted them for a turn. It scattered them a little bit, put a few people on fire, just pinned them, so they had to spend the turn standing up. So in the end, I don't think she actually did any harm with it ultimately. But it didn't matter. It bought me the first turn of, right, you're not just immediately running onto me.
Yeah.
So then she probably got killed.
Right.
Or, sent into seriously injured. Can't remember what, probably a head wound or something. Then both his reinforcements arrived on the first turn.
Oh, blimey.
So this is the scenario where you both have a relic in your own deployment zone, and you're trying. The only way to win the scenario is to defile the opponent's relic without having yours defiled.
Right.
So I spend.
How much do you commit, and how much do you
defend?
behind?
Yeah. So, because both his two outflanking gangers had arrived, they were basically on the edges of my turf, as it were. So I was already trying to sort of fend them off before the main bulk of his gang got across to me.
Got ya.
And all I had my needle rifle champion sort of show up on the edge of my territory. So turn 2, was when I actually fired the grenade launcher for the first time, because I was now in a position to sort of catch these enemy fighters all sort of huddled together, because they'd obviously been trying to start funneling towards me. I managed to get a frag grenade in amongst them to again basically scatter them. Didn't do a ton of damage, and I ran out of ammo, but again it sort of forced them to hug cover and stay out of the way or get pinned or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I had a las gunner and my champion were able to trade shots with these outflanking enemy gangers. And then turn 3, I had a tactics card at this point to use a rigged door.
Right.
So no, sorry, not rigged door. It was a deadlock door. So I was able to prevent a door being opened for any reason.
Oh wow.
For that round. So basically, I now locked the door that was basically dividing his gang in half. So his heavy stubber was sort of held out of position again, because he'd run his juve up to get into position to open the door, so the heavy stubber could immediately rain down the corridor on my gang. And I was like, right, well, let's deadlock that. So that's opening for no reason.
So you board controlling.
I was board controlling, but at this point I'd absolutely run out of ammo on everyone who was originally in the middle of the board.
Oh,
so the grenade launcher was out. I had a las gun that was out of ammo. The juve had run out of ammo, and the other las gunner had died.
Oh wow, okay.
So, I was clutching at straws just to stop the fear cat and the enemy leader from just ripping them apart. Because I was just trying to force them to keep their heads down, force them to spend an action standing up, and then moving towards me, and in the end,
just dragging it out.
Yeah, because I was trying to stop them from getting anywhere near my relic, whilst I was getting one person from reinforcements every turn, because you get D3 people from reinforcements. And my first 3 turns, I got one reinforcement, and then 2 reinforcements.
Oh,
but
so
I meant
with all your extra people, you still couldn't get them.
They were trickling in. That was the thing.
Yeah.
So the trouble was, what was happening for the first 4 or 5 turns, I was basically feeding a distraction fighter every turn to either the shock whip leader, or the strength 4 fear cat, or the acid round shotgun, or even the the flamer ganger, who was now bordering on the edge of my board or my deployment. And I was clutching at every single little thing just to try and keep them back. And it wasn't either one of us was being overly ridiculous with damage. Yeah, I was having a couple of people go out of action, but it was kind of the ones that I knew were going to have to go out of action.
Yeah.
They were having to overcommit in order to buy time for the rest of the gang. And throughout all of this, I was just dropping flesh wounds here and there, but, these toughness 4 Esches were just proving really resilient.
Yeah. They are, like, pretty tough. Like, well, literally, but
Yeah.
it's just unusual to have the toughness 4 and that gives you that speed as well. Just this, you've got.
Well, yeah. So basically, like turn 3 was when his leader got her first charge off, and that was because she was diving on the Juve, who was trying to defend my grenade launcher, who was now frantically trying to find ammo.
Right.
Then next turn, it was the grenade launcher ganger who had no ammo, who took the brunt of the shock whip. Then the turn after that, it was the first of my like lasgun gangers who'd made it in from reinforcements and managed to sort of get to the relic to put herself in the way. And then I think it was about turn 5 that we ended up with this most ridiculous fight over my relic, because it was one of these key turns where the priority roll was important, because at the end of the previous turn, his Juve that had arrived on turn 1, and on the edge of my deployment, by the end of turn 3, they had got into base-to-base contact with my relic, and I hadn't been able to put them down because I didn't have the weight of shots. Just running out of ammo had been my issue. I just couldn't get shots on her. So if he won priority, he was going to be able to defend my relic, and I could do nothing about it. If I won priority, I was going to be able to charge her with my stiletto, sword, pistol ganger, who at this point had been one of my early reinforcements. Thankfully, I won that priority roll.
Yay.
So I was able to declare a charge on his Juve stood on my relic.
Yeah.
However...
Oh.
Yeah. So what I'd done was I'd group activated with my champion with shotgun. My activation being the champion and the stiletto sword ganger. I activated the ganger first because she wanted to be charging into this Juve. If I could murder the Juve, then the champion could sort of do what they wanted with their shotgun. The plan was to hopefully get the flamer ganger. However, I charged him with my stiletto sword ganger, moved into base contact, and then he played the counter-attack tactics card.
Oh.
Which
So
basically lets you not activate first. It's after I've completed the charge, he gets to declare a charge move with any one of his fighters, and he can move into base contact with me, but then he doesn't strike blows. He doesn't make attacks, but he's eligible to make reaction attacks.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Not hugely.
So, my sword ganger charged his Juve. Then, interrupting in the middle of my action, so after I've moved into contact with the Juve, but before I make my attacks, he gets to make a charge move with another fighter of his anywhere on the board.
Oh, okay.
So not the Juve, a different fighter from his gang.
Anywhere on the board, so they can just decide to fight someone else, or...
I think they're allowed to declare a charge against the person I've just moved.
Okay. Well, what would you do if they're on the other side of the board, then?
Well, you could declare it, and then they'd just move towards me, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But obviously, if they're on the other side of the board, they wouldn't get to do anything.
No.
But basically, he can declare a charge on my person who I've just activated, is the point.
Okay. Right.
Which he activated his leader with the shock whip to charge into my sword ganger.
Right.
So now, his Juve, my sword ganger, and his leader are all in base with each other, and they're basically all around my relic. But only his Juve is in contact with the relic, his leader isn't, because she's had to come in from the other side.
Right.
Then I make my attacks as normal, because he doesn't strike blows with the counter charge fighter, but because they're now in combat, when I make my attacks, after I'm done making them, he can make reaction attacks if he wants.
Right.
So that's where he can try and get his attacks in.
Okay.
However, this is now one of the circumstances where assisting and interfering actually comes up, which doesn't come up very often in Necromunda because you need to have multiple fighters in one fight for it to matter. So because his leader can now run interference. My sword ganger is now at -1 to hit.
Right.
So I end up not killing this Juve. I'm just like, right, I'm going to put all my attacks on this Juve because that's the person I want dead. I don't mind about your leader. As long as I kill the Juve, that stops you from defiling my relic.
Yeah.
But because of the -1 to hit, I missed.
Okay.
Or slash, didn't injure them.
Hmm.
He then gets to make his reaction attacks. I have got a sword though, so I've got parry. So his Juve failed to do anything to me.
Hmm.
And he sort of whiffed on his attacks of his leader a little bit, so also his leader didn't do anything to my ganger. She was able to... I think she only hit once and I made her re-roll it and she missed.
Okay.
So it's like parried it away. So now there's 3 of fighters all wrapped up in a combat on my relic. But then I get to continue my group activation because I'm still waiting to activate my champion.
Okay.
Who expected my ganger to have just skewered this Juve and then she could have got off shotgunning stuff. Instead, my ganger's found herself outnumbered, like parrying to save her life while trying to defend the relic with her other free hand.
Oh,
So now my champion decides to like leap into the fray as well and charges this Juve.
Christ.
So now we've both got an assist, we've both got an interference, and through ridiculous odds, I end up whiffing and not killing this Juve with my champion.
Oh.
This Juve gets to reaction attack, but does nothing to my champion. And now we've got 4 people embroiled in one big brawl on top of this relic.
But no one's doing anything.
No one's done anything yet, but now he was in a position where he wanted to activate his flamer next, but now suddenly all his flamer targets are in combat with his own gangers. So he now doesn't want to barbecue anyone.
Take the chance. It's fine. His
So,
toughness will get him through.
Yeah. So in the end, this fight sort of resolved like a turn later when my champion killed his Juve, but his leader killed my ganger. And then my champion and his leader ended up in a fight with each other, still stood over the relic. And then in the following turn, his leader did kill my champion, but then that meant that she wasn't engaged with anyone, and by this point, this was like turn 6 or something, my leader had finally arrived on the board, and she was able to sort of just move into line of sight, and this was the first and only attack I actually made against his leader that wasn't like, reaction attacks in combat or whatever, just my first shooting attack against her. My leader fired a needle rifle from a combi weapon at her and took her straight out.
Oh, wow.
And it was a surprise to everyone. Like, we were just like, oh wow, I did not expect that to happen, because his leader was unwounded. His leader was still tough as 4. And he saw his fear cat like running around with her as well. And all of a sudden, my leader just stepped out of the shadows and just placed a well-timed shot and dropped her. And
Wow.
it looked like it had been... I honestly felt like he was starting to overwhelm me, and like I was really, really struggling to keep him off my relic, because he just cleared the relic of my gangers, and yet now had his leader, his wounded champion, and his like wounded ganger now stood basically on top of my relic. But my leader, she would not let like the enemy defile this precious house relic. Took out the enemy leader, which caused both the champion and the ganger to panic and break.
Oh.
So they sprinted off back down the corridors, and suddenly there was no one stood on my relic, and I actually had reinforcements gathered around it.
Awesome.
And in this time, I'd had a ganger and a Juve appear from reinforcements in his backfield, and they'd been sort of like distracting the heavy stubber champion, lasgun shots, incendiary grenades, whatever, just to keep her pinned so she couldn't actually open up with the heavy stubber. But just trying to avoid the risk of getting blown away so they could get to the enemy relic. And the last roll of the game was rolling for priority in the turn in which my Juve was in base of his relic. his leader and his gangers had just fled, and he just bottled. But if he took the priority role, his champion would likely pass her cool check, at which point blow my gangers off his relic. And
Right.
technically, then it would be it'd have been a draw because we had no time left to finish the game. But I won that priority role, and thankfully Cherry was able to actually defile his relic before getting spotted in the crosshairs of the heavy stubber.
Okay.
But
So
my God, it was a heavy toll.
Yeah, I bet you had a lot of injured after that.
I ended up with 2 of the Juves having to go to the doctor to be saved. Which thankfully I have 2 rogue docs because I've got like a doc shop, and I had one on staff anyway, so my Juves were okay, but suffered various injuries. I think one had a head injury, one had like a spine injury or whatever. And then I had a whole bunch of other gangers who are in recovery, or have got -1 strength, or -1 like cool or leadership or whatever, intelligence. Like, to be honest, I kind of got away with a lot of like light injuries, nothing serious, like nothing crippling to what that gang is trying to do. But it means I have 7 gangers in recovery for my next game.
That's pretty heavy next game.
I mean, I get to bring, I think I've got 7 gangers to bring to or 7 fighters to bring to the next game, because I bought a new ganger to fill out the roster with, and my settlement provided me with a free Juve. So I was actually able to add 2 more bodies to the gang roster after the game, but still that's only bringing me up to 7 fighters for the next game.
Yeah.
It was a ridiculously hard fought game, but it was brilliant and so much fun.
Awesome. Cool. So you're just gonna have to see how your next game goes with just a minimal amount of troops.
Yeah, I mean, I did get to recruit a new ammo jack as well, because the territory that I took off the Poison Shadow gang was a workshop.
Okay.
But of course, my painstakingly painted grenade launcher ganger is one of the ones who was in recovery. So she got to fire her weapon once, ran out of ammo, and then is missing the following game.
Damn right.
So of course, she's getting over her new model syndrome. So
Yeah.
she should hopefully be performing much better in the future.
Yeah, you'll be fine after that.
Yeah.
Just need to get that one time, and then you're good. Awesome. But see, it was just interesting to have 2 different gangs and just seeing how, even though they're the same
House.
the same house, it was just 2 very different ways of doing it.
Yeah,
Which is quite
very,
cool.
very different. Like, I was just throwing like lasgun bodies, knife juves, and the occasional, like somewhat deadly champion. Just trying to scrape out what advantage I could where I could. Meanwhile, these, very deadly and efficient fighters were pretty much dropping anyone every time they came in near something, but just taking a little bit more wear and tear as a result.
Themselves
And then
each
I just
time.
and I was just having to slowly try and just grind out the battle where I could, where it was like truly important.
So you were the Russian army in that scenario.
To be honest, I was probably more like the Vietnamese army,
Okay.
having to pick my fights because I was not going to win like any
Head on.
one-on-one. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Before we go into politics, we'll end the games played, and then we'll just go into the thank yous before we close. So see you in a sec. Okay, guys, we're at the close and the thank yous. So first, I want to say thank you to the new Patreons. I've got Nicholas, and I'm going to kill your surname. I'm really, but sorry, Janikowski. I'm sorry if that's really bad pronunciation. And Kit Ulia. I think I've probably killed that one as well. Please don't take the money away again. But thank you for contributing to the group. It is really helpful. It definitely pays for the whole hosting entirely now, and it also gives us a couple of pounds each month now that I can then put towards maybe working out a prize or something along those lines, or maybe, like Michael had said before, getting some Chronicles mugs and being able to give them away in competitions to the people who are Patreons and stuff like that. So thank you very much. Then there's the stuff we've seen on Facebook. So Tony's going to go first, and I'm going to delete stuff that he says that I've also selected.
Because they are just that good. So we both love them.
Yeah.
So the first one I saw a while back now, because it's been a while since I've had a chance to sort of really call people out on their wonderful stuff, was by Peter Alexander M. I assume Alexander's probably your middle name, so for now you are Peter Alexander. But in either case, your Escher girls, they look amazing. They're like the third party kit bashed ones. What did you say the range was, Tom?
The toughest girls from the galaxy, Raging Heroes, I think the company is. Yeah,
they look awesome, because I'm just so impressed by how neatly the Escher parts just work so perfectly with them. Like, obviously the scale is spot on, but also like they just look like they're on theme still. They look like they're part of the same models, and they look awesome.
Yeah, it's always great when you can mix all the different things up, and you can't really see the difference so well if you can mix it all up.
Yeah, it's like they've mixed seamlessly.
Awesome.
So those look excellent, and I wish I had some of my own, really, because I think they'd look brilliant in my gang. So I'm very jealous. And then equally, I'm quite jealous of what Ben Nevis came up with, which is his big sliding bulkhead door that he's made out of a CD drive of all things. Because apparently pulling apart old computers is an endless source of Necromunda terrain, it would seem.
Yeah, I can imagine. I still haven't seen it. I'm sure I have seen it, and as soon as I do see it, it'll make sense. But for some reason, I can't.
Can you imagine? So your old style CD drive that you'd press and it'd like pop out of a desktop.
Yeah,
it's that, but on its side vertically, so it's sliding like a door. Which obviously on the scale of the models for Necromunda, that's like a big, huge like warehouse door. And then he's taken like foam board and stuff, and he's sculpted like an Aquila to put on it.
Okay.
So it just looks like a really, really nice piece of Necromunda terrain, and looks brilliant. Again, wish I had one.
Awesome.
Then we just have to shout out for Mark Bedford's Sump Monster, because like almost everything he owns, it's incomparable, really. It's brilliant. Like, I just wish I had some of this sort of like Necromunda setup that he's got over there, and his Sump Monster looks amazing. It's got a very sort of like Watcher in the Deep feel to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. It's an absolutely whopping thing as well.
Yeah, if you've not seen it, you should definitely go have a look at this one in the group, because it's just like emerging just out the top of the water, isn't it, in these pictures he's taken. So you can imagine how big that thing actually is, because probably most of it's still submerged.
Yeah, it's going to have an incredibly high toughness and wounds characteristic.
And it's about to be swallowing a couple of Goliaths whole, isn't it? So you can imagine just how monstrous that thing really is.
Yeah, that was a beautiful.
It's sort of like want to find myself staring that thing down.
Yeah, sort of like you'd see at like the Warhammer world with it's just like a scene. Like it's
Yeah.
something you can come and have a look at.
It looks
very
like
cool.
it'd be a part of a diorama or something, but you
Yeah.
can see that he has got like clear bases for like the tentacles and
Yeah.
stuff, so they can be moved around and they can be emerging wherever he needs them, and it also works very functionally. So I think it's a brilliant sort of like setup and brilliant model he's got there.
Yeah, definitely really.
I don't know where on earth it's come from, or if it's scratch built, or I don't recognise it within
No,
any like the GW range.
no, it's huge. Unless it's a Forge World thing, but I've not recognised it. I don't know what it is.
I'd be very interested to know either where he got it from or what he's converted it out of. But then speaking of conversions, there was also Ben, I want to say Hayton. His Goliath gang impressed me, but in particular his Zerka conversion.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, I'm not sure where the base model is from.
He did tell me it is from a company. I can't. Hang on. Let me have a look. I can see if I can find it while you talk about it.
But all the extra bits is sort of used to basically take this humanoid, like large humanoid muscular figure, and turn it into what you would imagine a Goliath Zerker to look like. He's achieved that with a bunch of Goliath parts, but also like the Dark Eldar grotesque parts. I mean, one of the noticeable things about the model is that he's just got like giant cleavers for hands.
Yeah.
So
they're like
just
giant
looks
spikes
menacing.
at the end, which is perfect for the mutated fists. I can't find the page, the link that tells me what thingy it's from. Bum. I'm sure if you ask if you find the post, you can ask again. But it is a website that has loads of different models. I was looking at it recently on my just to see if there was anything else cool.
And I'm sure there was another post by him recently talking about his Goliath's kill stealing on the Beast Hunt mission with his Zerker taking down the beast for the final blow, I think.
Awesome.
If I read that correctly.
Jumping through the air like Hulk and Ragnarok.
I think apparently the local Vansar gang and it might have been an all-out gang in Caradember were rather miffed because they felt they'd spend most of the time blowing chunks out of this thing.
Well, yeah, but the Zerker did the main bit of the job at the end. Who else was going to go in and punch him at the end? They certainly weren't going to do it.
Boss would have tried it.
Yeah.
It might not have gone very well for him, but I'm sure he'd have tried it.
Yeah, but he'd have probably got hit and taken it.
Yeah, they do that. And then finally, and I apologise if I butcher your name here, but Michael Geraldis, he's gone and built himself a full corpse guild, and they look amazing because more than anything, I think they really encapsulate that whole grim, dark, gothic feel.
Okay. Yes. Got ya. Yeah. The the guy with the kind of tri-pronged chainsword and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then like the other guy like double wielding a chainsword on a stick over his head.
I think that. Oh yeah. The Forge World model. It's a really cool model.
Yeah, they're brilliant. They've got that real sort of like almost medieval sci-fi feel to them. That is very sort of like 40k or sort of very John Blanche-esque.
Yeah, it's a bit like my Zerker who's wielding a giant engine on a pole above his head. That sort of style, but about to swing it down. But no, they're really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them painted. Like, I'd be very interested to see what sort of colour scheme and heraldry and stuff he goes for with the Corpse Guilders, because he's even got one guy I think who's got like a standard or a banner or whatever, like over his shoulder, just like all the Guilders heirlooms and stuff, personal heraldry, and I think it's great to see models converted up so in theme with the Gilders stuff so soon after the release of the Book of Peril. So I think he's done some fantastic work there.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be discussing in the next episode, and the scenarios and bits and pieces, and the all of those sorts of bits. But basically, the rest of the book, I think, is what we're discussing next episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that'd be something to look forward to, because it's all pretty much brand new. Whereas obviously the Venators and bits and pieces, and tactics cards, they obviously exist anyway. So this will be a brand new bit to talk about, which will be cool.
Yeah, that's all my mentions.
Sweet. So ones that I've taken off, or the bits I've got left. Thomas Dominic Kosh, Grendelson Squat. It's Cornhounds, they're very similar to mine, but much better painted. And this computer terminal, so I think he's using his as a Chimerics as well, but it's really nice painted. So that's some really cool painting. I've got Miles Davids has finished his Guild Bounty Hunter. I think he's the Little Legend Studio painting guy. I might be wrong with the company, but I know he also does commission painting, but it was the one we were trying to work out what to write on his on the scroll. He had painted everything pretty much apart from what to write on the scroll. But he's finally done it now, so that's really cool. It's beautifully painted.
What did he sell on?
I think it was just like a wanted picture or something like that. It was not detailed enough that you could read the whole thing, but not just a squiggly line sort of thing.
Wanted for doing bad things.
Yeah.
Will pay a lot.
Yeah. Creds for bodies.com or something like that. And then I've got Hakuran Summit Guides, which I do talk about every so often in the podcast. He's doing some really cool Cawdor models and an Ambot. He's always really nice quality painting. I've got Steve Udun's Ambot, bright green one. I think it's a bit like the Transformers, the construction ones, the Larry Green, really Larry Green.
I believe he said it was based on was it Devastator, I think was his name.
Like
I can't remember. One of the Decepticons, I think.
If Aaron was
inspired
here, he would be all over that. He's probably shouting at the podcast now. He's like, "No, you don't know your Transformers well enough," because he's a Transformer nut. But I know he secretly loves the Michael Bay films more than the original movie. Yep, I've just looked at Devastator now. It's exactly the same colour scheme.
I got it right. I know my Cybertron.
Yeah, basically all of the construction vehicles to form one Transformer. Back in the day when they used to be able to jam them all together, like the Dinobots. Oh God, see, I remember some of it too. Then I've got Carl Walker's collected all of his. He got all of his Orlocks in the photo, and he's got quite an amount of Orlocks. Quite an impressive amount.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it is impressive. Yeah.
And Craig's in there, I see.
I'm not far off having that many Esches myself done. I've got that many built, and I'm just over halfway now. But like I say, it's impressive just seeing a gang fully arrayed like that.
So once my Vansar are done, obviously I've done one of my Goliaths, and I'm gonna do the other Hungry Troll models to complete them, and then my Goliaths will probably be quite a weighty amount of people as well, which also always looks a bit worse because they're so much bigger. They take up a lot more space. They look a bit more imposing. And my last one, I've got Craig Dolan, which is Kablam's, his Cawdor models as well. So quite a few Cawdors catching my eye this month. I think it's probably because they're the most recent release, I guess. Oh no, the Delac. were the most recent one, weren't they?
Recent. Yeah. Well, to be honest, there's probably more Dalek running around than we know. We just don't see them.
Yeah. It's just coming from the shadows.
Yeah. Little do we know, there's actually the majority of gangs are all Dalek gangs. We just don't see them.
Well, that was a problem, like, where I'm having... It was my daughter's birthday and she was having a sleepover. And then they were trying to find... The girls were trying to find all their stuff the next day, because obviously they didn't bring it all together before the parents picked them up. They just thought, I'll grab everything just before I leave. But all of their stuff is camouflaged. They got camouflage clothes and camouflage shoes. Everything just disappeared. It's the problem with having everything camouflaged. So all the people who spend money camouflaging their cars, you can never find where it's parked. But I'm waffling again, and I'm really tired, and I think that's what's making it worse. I'm going to start hallucinating in a little while, I think, or not talking like I just did there. I think that's it, essentially. Yeah, we've already discussed what we're going to do next month, so it's going to be all the cool new stuff, essentially. The guilds will be really cool. I think being able to talk about potential models and conversions and stuff for that would be really sweet. And I know you, and obviously if Michael can get back on now, he's found a job and he's moved in and everything like that, I think he would be one for the scenarios as well. So I think that would be cool for you and him as well. And we might even get Aaron on if he can finally admit that he's wrong about contrast paints. or if he keeps finding videos by professional painters that prove that for a professional painter they're not the way to go. But then that's the thing about me and Aaron.
We knew that.
Yeah.
That's not news.
I know. But I mean, it gives us something to talk about, and if me and Aaron aren't having a go at each other, then something's wrong with the world. He loves me, really. But yeah, that's it for this month. Hopefully we should have everyone back next month, because Aaron should be back, Michael's should be settled, I should be just here as normal, and hopefully if everything's well with your little one, then you'll be fine as well.
Hopefully.
Awesome. And then hopefully we'll try and keep it within 3 hours so that it's listenable, but also everyone's got their say. But yeah, that's it for this month. Come join us on the Facebook group and keep adding all your awesome pictures. I'm just going to slowly get through all my Van Sar before getting back onto my Goliath, and then I'll be waiting for the Sisters of Battleheads to come out so I can do my female Cawdor models. That'll be my next step after my Ambots. But yeah,
they'll look cool.
Everyone, someone's already sending me those orbs. I know obviously we've done it in 2 parts, and I know I spoke about my amp doing a Cawdor Ambot. Someone's going to be sending me some Skaven orbs that I can use as the incense burners for my Cawdor.
Right.
So I think that's going to be really cool. It's Chris John. So thank you, Chris. I'll thank you properly on the next podcast as well. But yeah, that's it really. Have a good month. I'm really sorry about the delay. There's been quite a lot of things that have been happening for everybody this month, including myself. But I know I've spoken about my dad being unwell before. He's now pretty much, until once we've got the next scan, it looks like everything's been sorted that way. So that's really good news as well. So
that is good.
Yeah, so where my brain wasn't always thinking about the right thing at the time. So now hopefully everything should be back to normal. So next month we'll catch you very soon, but please chat to us on the Facebook group and we will see you next month. Okay guys, have a good one.
See you there.
And that was the end of Chronicles from the Underhive, a Necromunda and Post Apocalyptic podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. All the things we talk about in this podcast can be found at the Chronicles from the Underhive Facebook group, where we'll post up links to all of the websites we discussed and the current projects we're working on. Come and join us and post up your Necromunda projects, We hope to see you there, and may you never roll a double on your gambling den.